Chapter 3193. Qin Yun brought along the divine inscription mountain and headed towards the empty treasure lands. Although most of the divine universe golden stones had been dug out of the treasure land, the barrier could still be maintained. Even if the core lake of the treasure land was destroyed, it would not affect the operation of the barrier. Xiao Hua and company had previously modified the barriers of the treasure lands and gave them another barrier foundation. Therefore, even if the lake was destroyed, the foundation would still be fine. Qin Yun's next task was to command the inscription masters of the inscription gate to modify the treasure land. Old Xiao, we need to turn these treasure lands into danger zones. Even if the treasure land's barrier is destroyed and attacked, as long as one enters the treasure land and wants to mine the divine universe golden stones, they will face danger. Qin Yun said, I absolutely can't let them easily take away the divine universe golden stones. That's easy, we don't need to make a move on the biggest barrier of the treasure land. Xiao Hua said, all we need to do is to set up a few special chain traps in the depths of the treasure land. He told Qin Yun about the chain trap formation. This was developed by the inscription gate and the overall idea is very wonderful. The only flaw is that they don't have good enough inscriptions and poison. The chain trap formation requires many trap formations to be set up in a very vast treasure land. These trap formations are all separated by a certain distance. As long as one trap formation is set up, all the trap formations under the treasure land will enter a state of activation. Then, they will absorb the energy under the treasure land and enter an activated state. The trap formation will release all kinds of dangerous energy or poisonous gas. They will gush out from deep underground and cover the entire treasure land. Even the smallest treasure land is still very vast. It is very difficult to set up a large number of trap formations. However, Xiao Hua and company also have a solution. The trap formations they set up can reproduce themselves. For example, after setting up more than 10 trap formations, as long as the foundation of these trap formations absorbs enough energy, they will give birth to array seeds. The array seed will run everywhere. As long as there is energy, the array seed will stop and explode. Then, it will release runes and form a trap formation. Then, it will absorb energy to nurture the array seed and continue to reproduce. Qin Yun is not surprised at the formation of the array seed because he has an inscription fungus mother. The array seed that Xiao Hua and company are talking about is actually the inscription fungus mother. What surprised Qin Yun is that Xiao Hua and company can actually create a rune to nurture the inscription fungus mother. The level of the inscription gate is very high. Although they don't have many members, each of them are very outstanding. Moreover, most of them have inscription spirit. Some of them are even beasts formed from runes. Furthermore, Qin Yun will give them many runes from time to time. There are heavenly runes, bloodline heavenly runes, as well as inscription fungus mother runes and so on. They are all very rare and profound runes. Through studying these runes, they can raise their level even higher. In a very short time, Qin Yun improved the trap formations. He added some poison bloodline and heavenly runes, nether sun totem runes, to tot spirit runes. The trap formation Yun Tian divine domain formation. There are scattered under the treasure land. Qin Yun and the members of the inscription gate began to get busy, planting traps under the treasure land. As long as the trap formation can absorb a lot of energy, it can quickly reproduce and give birth to an array seed. Qin Yun observed for a moment and realized that the array seed was like a mushroom formed from golden runes that shuttled deep underground. After finding a suitable location, the mushroom would explode. Then, a large number of runes would spread out in all directions, quickly forming a relatively small array formation. After the formation is formed, it will absorb energy and expand. Finally, it will nurture an array seed. This way, as long as it is left here, it won't take long before it will be everywhere under the treasure land. This kind of trap formation won't spread outside the treasure land because it requires energy. Without enough energy outside the treasure land, they won't be able to reproduce. Qin Yun is very satisfied with this kind of formation. The effect is unexpectedly good. He originally thought that it would take 3 days and 3 nights to completely transform this treasure land. He didn't expect that it would only take 2 days to completely transform this treasure land. He is no longer inside the Golden Claw treasure land. The Heavenly Tao altar has also come out of the treasure land. Moreover, it has become a lot smaller, making it more convenient to escape. The Heavenly Tao altar has crazily devoured a lot of Divine Universe Golden Stone's energy and stored it inside the altar. There are many teleportation formations inside the altar that can lead to the 4 Divine Suns, Phoenix Kingdom and Luo Shu. Qin Yun already told Luo Shu to withdraw the 200,000 soldiers hidden in the vicinity. They are her trump card, there is no need for them to stay here anymore. She only needs to provide Qin Yun with those super 10,000 god-devouring arrows. Qin Yun's 9 Sun Divine Soul still has 500 Strange Cat battleship. There are several powerful small Divine Sun cores inside those battleships. The small Divine Sun cores are still very big. Qin Yun took out a few dozen of them. This won't affect the operation of those battleships in the future. He placed these small Divine Sun cores into the Dan transformation heavenly furnace to refine them. Finally, he refined 2 cannonballs. He named them Divine Sun Nuclear Bomb. He doesn't know if he will use these 3 cannonballs in the end. If possible, he doesn't want to use them because their might is very dreadful. Even he doesn't know how strong the power will be. The scouts outside the Golden Claw treasure land are now very far away. They don't dare to approach because they have received news that 3 incomparably huge battleships are flying in the sky. Because they are too high from the ground, those 3 super huge battleships look like pigeons flying in the sky. And on the magic mirror, there is also news saying that those 3 10,000-meter-long super huge battleships were sent by the mysterious Taisher faction. Not long after this news came out, it was quickly deleted. Clearly, someone is deliberately causing trouble to expose the existence of the Taisher faction. Because many people don't even know about the existence of the Taisher faction. Everyone knows that Qin Yun wants to run away. Because he previously sent people to frantically dig up the Divine Universe Golden Stone. Now that the Heavenly Law altar has been moved outside the Golden Claw treasure land, it is very clear that it can't withstand this attack. Many envoys from powerful races came from afar to worship the Divine King and acknowledge him. However, after learning of this sudden situation, their hearts collapse. Outside the Heavenly Law altar, a few meters tall white ball suddenly appeared. It looks like a huge snow-white pearl. This huge pearl fell from the sky and it is also surging with a very strong aura. Qin Yun is inside the Heavenly Law altar. He immediately discovered the huge pearl falling. Qin Yun, I am the daughter of the Great Xian Star Lord and also the Great Xian Goddess. An ice-cold voice came from inside the huge pearl. Come out and surrender. Join my Great Xian Star and sign a soul contract. Forever loyal to the Great Xian Star, we can spare your life. Qin Yun is very shocked when he heard this from inside the Heavenly Law altar. The Great Xian Star should be the Taisher faction that attacked this time. They actually sent such an important person over. Chapter 3194. Inside the Heavenly Law altar, Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and looked through the huge pearl. He discovered that the body of the Great Xian Goddess is not very strong. That means it is a clone. Since it was only an avatar, it made Qin Yun very unhappy. Furthermore, he even said such arrogant words. Spare my life? Do you have any enmity with your Taishan planet? My life is in your hands? What right do you have to decide my life or death? Said Qin Yun with a sneer. Qin Yun, I won't waste time with you. My time is very precious, even if it's a clone's time. I don't want to waste too much time on a small character like you. Xian Qingning said. Xian Qingning, right? You only sent a doppelganger, and you dare say that you want to dictate my life and death? I want to see what kind of ability you have. Qin Yun said. I also don't want to waste time with you. If you announce that you are following me and acknowledge me as the God King, I will let you go. Otherwise, I will fight you to the death. Xian Qingning is stunned. Qin Yun's words are the most preposterous words she has ever heard since she was born. Qin Yun, you know nothing about the power of Grand Prime organizations. It's truly a miracle that an arrogant and narrow-minded person like you can survive until now. Xian Qingning sneered. It is you who know nothing about my power. I'm a very easygoing person. I gave you a chance just now. If you don't cherish it, it'll be too late for regrets in the future. Qin Yun was serious. Previously, when Luo Shu sent Luo Ye over, they were also rude. Later on, they changed their attitude in time and even showed their sincerity. Otherwise, they would have been tortured to the point of collapse by Qin Yun. The other one is Strange Cat King. He also stopped in time and then completely knelt down in front of Qin Yun. Only then did he not get destroyed by Qin Yun. If Xie Qiru was here, she would definitely persuade you to be loyal to us. Xian Qingning sneered. But now, it's too late even if you want to pledge your loyalty to the Taishan planet. Unless you lower yourself even more, we will not accept your allegiance. Qin Yun was shocked. Xian Qingning actually knew Xie Qiru. Are you surprised that I know Xie Qiru? Her original name was Tian Shiro. Not only do I know her, I also know Tian Shixiang, who is now Yu Shangyun, and Luo Yaofeng. They are all 9 heavens goddesses. I was once a 9 heavens goddess. Xian Qingning sneered. However, I'm stronger than the 3 of them. They only need to see me to know how powerful I am. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed, but he was not afraid at all. There were indeed quite a few 9 heavens goddesses. He thought that all the other goddesses were finished. He never expected that one would suddenly appear. Furthermore, it was from a Grand Prime faction. It seemed like the 9 heavens goddesses had a powerful background. Qin Yun, even if you are not loyal to me, I still advise you to do a good deed. Give Xiao Yuelan to the Crown Prince of Huoling Empire. This will be good for you and also good for Xiao Yuelan. Xian Qingning said again. Xiao Yuelan is the 9 Sun Divine Maiden, only the Empire's Crown Prince is qualified to have her. Only those Crown Princes can make her into an outstanding cultivation slave. Qin Yun was immediately enraged. Cultivation equipment? His beloved wife went through 9 lifetimes with him to reach this stage today. Xian Qingning actually wants him to give her to someone else as a slave? Previously, the Crown Prince of Great Luo often said that he wanted to take in 9 Sun Divine Maidens as slaves. Now it turns out that not only he wants to use them as slaves, he also wants to use them for evil cultivation. Crown Prince Huoling's clone was killed by Phoenix Queen not long ago. Xian Qingning clearly does not know about this. Is your position higher or Crown Prince Huoling's position higher? Qin Yun's voice became very cold as he calmly asked. Of course my position is higher. I want you to give Xiao Yuelan to Crown Prince Huoling for her own good. At the same time, it will also make Crown Prince Huoling behave a bit. Xian Qingning said. Inside the Heavenly Law altar, Qin Yun sent voice transmission to Xie Wufeng, Monkey King, Su Xiaoba, Tang Ba, Qin Zhong, Qin Yi, Qin Qing, and Ji Ening Ji. He told them to rush out and capture Xian Qingning's clone. The Heavenly Law altar suddenly flashed. After Qin Yun shot the 10,000 god-devouring arrow and destroyed the pearl, several figures suddenly flew out. Xian Qingning is startled. She did not expect Qin Yun to attack. Qin Yun, are you courting death? Xian Qingning immediately became furious. In her opinion, everyone in Divine Desolate should be afraid of Taisher powers. Xian Qingning is the daughter of Great Mystery Star's master. With her position, Other than the heavenly emperors of the empires who don't need to be respectful to her, everyone else, including the crown prince of the empires, has to be very courteous. In Xian Qingning's eyes, Qin Yun is a lowly muggle. He should just kneel and kowtow to her. Xie Wufeng and the other experts besieged Xian Qingning's clone. It is very easy for them to capture her. No matter how strong Xian Qingning is, no matter how good her equipment and heavenly talismans are, facing this kind of besiegement, she will very quickly be defeated. Xian Qingning is wearing white clothes. She has an ice-cold, thin and long face. She is very good-looking, but there is no sense of beauty. She is very angry at this moment. This time, she personally led the great mystery star disciples to capture Qin Yun. In her eyes, it is a small matter, so she sent her clone. She doesn't want to waste too many resources to fight Qin Yun, so she wants to beat Qin Yun into submission and make him swear loyalty to Great Mystery Star. That way, she can easily obtain a large number of Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Boxes and Godly King Heavenly Seal. Xian Qingning has no idea how angry Qin Yun is. Not to mention her, even if the Heavenly Emperors of the Four Empires and the Masters of all the Taisha powers were here, Qin Yun would risk his life to kill them. Qin Yun warned himself many times not to let his emotions affect his decisions, but he can't control himself every time. Especially after Xian Qingning belittled Xiao Yuelon to such an unbearable degree, and even made him give his beloved wife to someone else as a plaything. How can he suppress his anger? The moment Xian Qingning was beaten to her knees, Qin Yun rushed out and placed the Soul Creation Heavenly Cauldron on her head. Then, he used the Godly King Heavenly Seal to imprint a few times on her body, sealing her up and not letting her soul escape. You want to torture me to make my true body feel pain? Xian Qingning's clone is not afraid at all. Aren't you afraid? Qin Yun asked. Of course I'm not afraid. My clone can't feel pain. It's useless no matter how you torture it. Xian Qingning said with sneer. Also, my true body can sever the connection with my clone's soul at any time. But I won't sever it now because I want to see what you can do to me. Qin Yun took a deep breath, then took out a bottle of very smelly poison and opened it. Xian Qingning sniffed, frowned and sneered. Very good poison. However, the structure of this avatar is not afraid of any poison at all, because my avatar is not a real body of flesh and blood. Your clone has a sense of smell, right? Qin Yun said with sneer. Why does your clone need a sense of smell? Isn't it just afraid of getting dirty? So if it smells something stinky, it should do its best not to touch it, right? Keeping a sense of smell will allow my clone to sense the surroundings even more clearly. Don't tell me you want to torture me with a sense of smell? Xian Qingning laughed loudly and said, Come! Su Xiaoba suddenly let out a strange cry. His eyes are filled with expectation because he knows that Pippi Pig is about to appear. Chapter 3195. Su Xiaoba is very clear about Pippi Pig's power. He has experienced it many times. Inside the Divine Rune Mountain, Shimen Dezhuang often used Pippi Pig to scare him. Xian Qingning proudly looked at Qin Yun with a look of, What can you do to me? Her eyes are filled with contempt. In her opinion, her avatar is very strong. Even if it falls into the enemy's hands, it will be very difficult for them to torture her. Especially a weak person like Qin Yun, he can't do anything to her avatar. Of course, this was only what she thought. Qin Yun took out the Heaven and Earth Devil Sealing Goblet. This is the same transparent goblet he modified not long ago. The goblet enveloped the sealed Xian Qingning. Xian Qingning coldly looked at Qin Yun and said, Qin Yun, my true body will arrive very soon. I will arrive at the battleship through the teleportation formation. When the time comes, it will be the time of your death. Qin Yun already sent people to inform Shimen Dezhuang to bring Pippi Pig over. Shimen Dezhuang is also inside the Heavenly Tao altar. He doesn't dare to come out because Heavenly Tao's child told him that the outside is filled with danger. The Golden Claw treasure land can be razed to the ground at any time. This scared Shimen Dezhuang so much that he hid in the safest place in the heavenly Tao altar. Qin Yun stood outside the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet and asked, "So many Taisha factions, why is only your great Xian star here?" The bloodline heavenly pattern box in his hand should be very tempting for those Taisha factions. They should be coming. That's because we are very strong. Moreover, as long as we take your bloodline heavenly pattern box, we will share it with the other Taisha factions. Qin Yun, you think you are very important, but you are just lucky to obtain the bloodline heavenly pattern box. You already have nothing left. Others gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Just wait and regret it. Xian Qingning said in cold voice. Shimen Dezhuang came out. He ran out of the heavenly Tao altar while holding the shrunken Pippi Pig. Pippi Pig also entered the lake to undergo transformation and evolution. Now that he has become stronger, his ability also increased. Seeing Pippi Pig come out, Su Xiaoba and Xie Wufeng can already see Xian Qingning's miserable ending. The corners of Qin Yun's mouth curled up slightly. Xian Qingning was the goddess of Taishian's star. Even if it was her clone suffering this kind of torture, she would not be able to bear it. Moreover, this memory would certainly be the deepest in her life. When Shimen Dezhuang learned that Qin Yun wanted to use Pippi Pig to torture people, he excitedly brought Pippi Pig out. Qin Yun smiled and flew to the top of the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet while carrying Pippi Pig. "Pippi Pig, go all out!" Shimen Dezhuang shouted with a smile. People like Ba Taiyin, Dark Concubine and Ing Concubine, didn't know how powerful Pippi Pig was, so they were very confused. Xian Qingning sneered. Although most of her power was sealed, it wasn't a problem for her to deal with a pig. Just as she was about to mock him, Pippi Pig used a big move. A turbid air immediately filled the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet. Su Xiaoba closed his eyes and repeatedly shook his head. Even he would not be able to endure this kind of torture. In an instant, Xian Qingning's heart filled with boundless anger. She felt the world's smelliest fart. This kind of memory has been deeply branded in her soul. Even though she immediately cut off the connection with the clone, her main body can still feel it. This kind of feeling almost made her faint. Xian Qingning's clone has already fallen to the ground. Her expression is malevolent and filled with pain. This clone has already committed suicide. Originally, she could have already cut off the connection with the clone and let it self-destruct. But her character did not allow her to do so. To her, this is a sign of weakness to the enemy. So she wanted the clone to maintain an arrogant attitude and continue to look down on Qin Yun. However, she is now filled with endless regret and also endless anger. "Everyone, enter the heavenly law altar," Qin Yun said. "This battle is unavoidable. Great Xian Star's 3 supergiant battleships have already made their preparations. As long as Xian Qingning's main body arrives, they will attack Golden Claw Treasure Land at any time." After entering Golden Claw Treasure Land, they immediately went to find Tian Dao Zi and An Wukong. The space god is also here. They are now in a core area of the heavenly law altar. An Wukong and the space god have been modifying the heavenly law altar to give it the ability to shuttle through space. Because the time is very short and it requires a lot of energy, the heavenly law altar's ability to shuttle through space is very limited. It can't shuttle through long distances and it also consumes a lot of energy. Fortunately, the heavenly law altar has absorbed the energy of many myriad realms' divine suns and stored enough energy to shuttle through space several times. It is enough to evade the enemy's pursuit. Great Xian Star has 10 supergiant battleships, but only 3 have arrived. However, in Xian Qingning's opinion, there is no need to send so many supergiant battleships. 1 is enough to flatten all the treasure lands controlled by Qin Yun. 3 supergiant battleships are floating high in the sky. Only one of them has started moving and is slowly descending. Xian Qingning's main body has already arrived. Her expression is very unsightly. She realized that she still underestimated Qin Yun's courage. He actually dared to attack her clone and even tortured it. Teleporting her main body from Nine Sun sacred ground consumed a lot of energy. Divine Desolate Space was originally sealed by the Empires and Taisha factions, but now Nine Sun Law Spirit has added another layer of seal. This seal is even stronger than the previous one. Breaking through this seal and teleporting through space consumes a lot of energy. Even if the Taisha factions and empires have abundant resources, they wouldn't do it unless it's something important. And Qin Yun's group doesn't consume a lot of energy to travel through space or teleportation formations. The main reason is that they don't need to break through Nine Sun Law Spirit's spatial seal. Qin Yun, you can die now. It's true that you have the bloodline heavenly pattern box, but as long as you die, it will come out of your storage treasure. So I don't need to capture you alive. Xian Qingning's expression is as cold as frost. She shouted, "Gather the strongest energy and attack the center of Golden Claw Treasureland and the altar." The Heavenly Law altar is right outside Golden Claw Treasureland. Qin Yun did it on purpose to divert the enemy's attention. The super-giant battleship slowly descended. When it reached a certain height, two circular formations appeared at the bottom of the battleship and condensed energy at the center. The formation condensed energy very quickly. After accumulating energy for a while, it immediately released an attack. At the same time, two extremely powerful energy beams landed on the center of Golden Claw Treasureland and the Heavenly Law altar. An explosion immediately shook the heaven and earth. The Heavenly Law altar was enveloped by a powerful light, energy waves surged and roared. No one can see the current situation of the Heavenly Law altar. Chapter 3196. Golden Claw Treasureland's barrier has been blasted open and the entire Treasureland has been enveloped by intense light energy waves. After the giant battleship breached Golden Claw Treasureland, it didn't continue to attack. Instead it concentrated its energy on the Heavenly Tao altar. Intense light burst out unceasingly at the location of the Heavenly Tao altar. Although the earth is shaking violently, as if it is heaving up and down, it hasn't split open. It can be seen how powerful the earth is now. Not only can it withstand such intense attacks, it can also absorb a portion of the energy into the earth. Everyone could sense the growth of the environment in God Desolate. Many people gradually felt fear in their hearts because in God Desolate, the power of nature was becoming stronger and stronger, while living beings were being restricted. If Divine Desolate continues to grow, then living beings like them will become very insignificant in front of nature's power. They won't be able to casually resist nature's power like before. Not only Divine Desolate, the entire cosmos is becoming stronger, only living beings are stagnating. Not long later, all kinds of living beings will become the weakest existence in the cosmos. At that time, living beings will never be able to contend against nature. This time, Great Xian Star sent giant battleships to attack Golden Claw Treasureland, causing many people to feel fear towards Divine Desolate's environment. If it was before, this level of energy would have been enough to overturn the entire Golden Claw Treasureland several times. It would have been enough to create large cracks in the ground or create huge craters. Those giant battleships can only break Golden Claw Treasureland's barrier. Wanting to blast the entire Golden Claw Treasureland back and forth is very difficult. Golden Claw Treasureland is so vast, if they want to wash it back and forth, they will have to consume a great amount of energy. Even Great Xian Star can't withstand this kind of consumption. Therefore, they believe that breaking the barrier is enough. Next, they only need to send people into the Treasureland to collect the Divine Universe golden ores. As long as they concentrate their attacks on the Heavenly Tao altar and completely destroy it, they will either force out the people hiding inside or kill them. Inside the giant battleship, Xian Qingning is looking at the waves of fierce attacks through a large mirror. She feels very comfortable in her heart. In her opinion, even if Qin Yun's group doesn't die, they will definitely be heavily injured. She actually hopes that Qin Yun's group doesn't die so that she can capture them alive and ruthlessly torture them. Especially Xie Wufeng and Su Xiaoba's group, they forced her avatar to kneel on the ground. And that farting pig is her nightmare. Recalling this experience, Xian Qingning became furious and coldly shouted, "Stop attacking, I still hope that we can capture Qin Yun's group alive. I want them to die so easily." The giant battleship's attack immediately stopped, but the fog is still shrouding the area. The scouts in the distance took out their telescopic devices to see the situation inside the altar of Heaven's path. Strange Cat King was also watching seriously. A general beside him whispered, "Your Majesty, is Qin Yun really finished this time? Grand Prime organizations sure are terrifying. Just 2 or 3 of their super battleships are enough to sweep through our entire fleet, right?" Exotic Cat King didn't answer. The super warships of Taishan planet were not only extremely strong in defense, but their internal energy source was also terrifying. The warships of their exotic cat kingdom simply couldn't compare. Previously, he thought that even if his fleet is not invincible, it would at least be able to enter top 5. But now, it seems that they might not even be able to enter top 10. The power of the 4 great empires and sacred lands' power is indeed very terrifying. Qin Yun will be fine. Strange Sacred Land is very sure that if Qin Yun did not fall, their kingdom would not have lost so miserably at that time. Great Xian Star is indeed a Sacred Land's power, but their current leader is not as good as me. Strange Sacred Land coldly groaned and said, "He is not talking about this king anymore. His arrogant potential has already been completely defeated by Qin Yun. He wasn't boasting. In terms of understanding of Qin Yun, he was much clearer than those empires and kingdoms. Even Luo Shu and Phoenix Queen are not as clear about Qin Yun's power as Cat King. After all, they have never truly fought with Qin Yun, they have never experienced that kind of despair." The surging fog gradually dissipated, the heavenly law altar has disappeared, only a large number of broken stones are left on the ground. Those stones are made of huge square brick. The heavenly law altar is very big, like a huge mountain. It looks like it is made of huge stone brick. And now there are so many broken bricks left on the scene, it seems that the heavenly law altar has been destroyed. All the spies immediately reported the situation of the scene back. When Cat King saw this scene, he just groaned. "Your Majesty, is that altar finished?" The general trembled and said, "How is that possible? That altar is so big, but there are only a few broken pieces on the scene. When I attacked Golden Claw Treasure Land before, I studied this altar. It is very difficult to completely break it." Cat King said, "What is broken is only the camouflage layer on the surface of the altar. This camouflage layer is made of stones from Golden Claw Treasure Land." Then what about the altar? Where did it go? How can such a huge thing disappear into thin air? Is it space travel? Impossible. Even the powerful Sacred Land's power and the 4 great empires cannot make such a huge thing travel through space. The general said in shock. Others can't, but Qin Yun can. He used this trick to trick many people. Back in Scorpio Kingdom, when we attacked Golden Claw Treasure Land, he often used this trick. That's right, there is also the Balong army and other idiots, they were all tricked by Qin Yun. The general sighed and said, "Indeed, Your Majesty understands Qin Yun the best. But even if he ran away, his prestige will also plummet. Now there are many emissaries from powerful races coming to pay respects to him as the divine king, but now they are being beaten to such a sorry state. The good show is yet to come. How can Qin Yun suffer a loss? Just watch, even if he gives up on these treasure lands, he will not let Great Xian Star get even the slightest bit of advantage. The guy sent by Great Xian Star is too inexperienced." Cat King looked at the huge ship in the sky. At this time, a dazzling golden stone ship suddenly appeared. Many of the spies present are very familiar with this stone ship. It was this ship that tricked the Balong army. The Heavenly Law Altar has indeed gone through space travel. Then Qin Yun immediately let the divine inscription mountain run out and fly into the sky. He has prepared a large number of super 10,000 God-devouring arrows and 3 divine sun nuclear bombs refined from divine sun cores. The divine sun nuclear bombs are placed inside the huge 10,000 God-devouring arrows. Through the divine arrow, the divine sun nuclear bombs can penetrate the defense of the battleship. Then the divine sun nuclear bombs will enter the battleship and destroy it in a shocking way. Chapter 3197. The divine sun nuclear bomb was very powerful, but Qin Yun was still unsure how much damage it could cause to the super warship. According to his hypothesis, a divine sun nuclear bomb should be able to destroy a super large battleship. This was an assumption he had made based on the strength of the Bizarro Cat battleship. The super battleship had been frantically attacking the heavenly altar, and its aura had been very chaotic. Therefore, the spatial fluctuations caused by the heavenly altar had not been sensed by anyone. It had been drowned out by the powerful attacks of the super battleship. Therefore, those who were watching the battle from afar were unable to detect the altar of heaven's path's spatial travel. However, when they saw the stone ship transformed from the divine inscription mountain, they all thought that it came out from the heavenly law altar. They were secretly amazed at the sturdiness of the heavenly law altar. It could actually block such a fierce attack and even let a stone ship escape. "Let's destroy their giant ships first," Qin Yun said. "That kind of huge battleship's defense should be stronger than the strange cat battleship's defense. Then shoot 10 arrows at the same point." Qin Yun ordered Xiao Hua and company to begin shooting arrows. The super 10,000 God-devouring arrow was dozens of meters long, and it was incredibly thick. When it shot out from the super dragon head cannon, it was like a roaring dragon, turning into a golden bolt of lightning as it shot out. In the process of flying, the super 10,000 devouring God arrow devoured the energy around it. When it got close to the super battleship, its devouring power reached its peak, distorting the energy released by the super battleship's protective shield. Boom! After the super 10,000 devouring God arrow devoured the distorted barrier, it successfully pierced through the battleship's protective shield and struck the tough armor, causing a violent explosion. After the divine arrow exploded, a strong light and shock wave surged out. The divine arrow's power was extremely strong, and the battleship's armor was also very sturdy. After the fierce collision, the divine arrow was destroyed. It didn't penetrate the armor, but it left behind a dent. Then, the second arrow was fired. Qin Yun did not expect one arrow to penetrate the armor of the Great Profundity planet's battleship, so he decided to use 10 arrows to make a hole. Qin Yun's counterattack left the scouts in disbelief, especially the spies from the Empire. They all knew how terrifying a Taisher faction was. However, Qin Yun was not afraid of a Taisher faction at all. He wanted to resist a Taisher faction's powerful battleship. What they didn't know was that Qin Yun had previously ruthlessly humiliated Xian Qingning. Inside the ship, Xian Qingning was furious. "What's going on? Qin Yun and company were still alive? You even retaliated." She knew that Qin Yun was very capable, but she had never taken Qin Yun's strength seriously. In her eyes, no matter how strong Qin Yun was, in the face of the mighty attack of the Great Mystery Star, he would not be able to withstand a single blow. Especially just now, she had used the energy of the supergiant ship to attack the altar of heaven with all her might. She wanted to destroy the altar of heaven completely and injure the people inside, if not kill them. Now, it seems that the heavenly Tao altar has been destroyed, but a stone ship suddenly appeared, and Qin Yun seems to be inside the stone ship. "Third young master, the shield of the battleship has been penetrated by those giant arrows. The armor has been damaged and there are already dents. If this continues, it is very likely that it will be broken, a young man hurriedly reported. Aim at that stone ship and destroy it as soon as possible. Xian Qingning had just finished speaking when another rumble was heard. The second arrow had already been shot. Then came the third, fourth, and fifth arrows. The 10 Super 10,000 Devouring God arrows were quickly shot out. The first 5 successfully pierced a large hole, while the last 5 pierced the interior of the battleship, creating a passage. Xian Qingning and the others have no time to react because they have never encountered this kind of situation before. In the past, Taisha powers rarely engaged in war, mainly because they are too strong. Just like the empires, they are the rulers of this cosmos. Only the powerful beings of the barbarian race cosmos that came through the cracks of the cosmos need to go to war, but this kind of thing is very rare. Even if they used the supergiant ship to go to war, it has never been broken, even the energy shield was not damaged. And now, Qin Yun's 10,000 Devouring God arrows not only easily broke the energy shield, they even pierced through the armor and entered the battleship. The battleship is very big, so even if the 10,000 Devouring God arrows exploded, the battleship would still be floating in the air. Xian Qingning immediately ordered, "Evacuate the area that has been pierced through, barbarian army get ready. Golden Claw Treasureland must have Qin Yun's secret base. We will use barbarian army to flatten Golden Claw Treasureland. The other 2 battleships will head to other treasure lands and destroy their barriers." The damaged area of the supergiant battleship was immediately emptied. Moreover, there are many cabins inside the battleship, there are barriers between the cabins, the interior is like a honeycomb structure, it is very sturdy. Even if someone pierced a hole in it, it would not affect the operation of the battleship. And the core of the battleship has the strongest defense, there is no need to worry about it being destroyed. After Strange Cat King saw the Super 10,000 Devouring God arrows enter, he exclaimed in surprise, "Great Xian Star's supergiant battleship is about to be finished." He is very clear what Qin Yun wants to do, now he is only opening the way, the real killing weapon has not been used yet. Inside Qin Yun's divine mountain, Xian Shazi said, "Boss, there are 2 supergiant battleships flying at high speed towards other treasure lands. Let them be, this is for the best, we just need to destroy this battleship." Qin Yun said, "Old Xiao, are the Divine Sun nuclear bombs ready?" Xiao Hua said, "I have already prepared. This time we will shoot 3 arrows and use all 3 Divine Sun nuclear bombs." Qin Yun said, "I have to say, this kind of supergiant battleship of the Great Xian Star is truly powerful. The power of a single Divine Sun nuclear bomb is still not enough." Yes. Xiao Hua is excited in his heart. If there were 3 Divine Sun nuclear bombs, then the power would definitely be extremely terrifying. Qin Yun wants to use the most shocking method to declare war on the Taisha powers. 3 Super 10,000 Devouring God arrows shot out in succession and entered the supergiant battleship through the hole they made earlier. Following Qin Yun's control, the Divine Sun nuclear bomb inside the 10,000 Devouring God arrow detonated. Boom! With a loud sound, the tens of thousands of meters long supergiant battleship suddenly exploded. An incomparably ferocious energy wave and intense light instantly rushed out. The nearby spies and others were all shaken by this terrifying shockwave until their bodies burned and their clothes were burned by the intense light. Some of the people who did not wear armor had their skin burned to the point that it was on fire, and some even directly turned to ashes. Those who directly looked at the intense light of the explosion felt incomparable pain in their eyes. Those who did not protect their eyes well were directly blinded. Strange Cat King had already taken out a thick black shield to block in front of him, so he and the general beside him were completely unharmed. The supergiant battleship broke into 2 pieces and fell to the ground. Only a few people wearing armor survived. They were the first to fly out of the incomparably scorching explosion and survived. Mobile users please visit Chapter 3198. Xian Qingning's equipment was excellent. Even the cabin she was in was very sturdy. Although a battleship like theirs had never been destroyed before, the main position was well protected, mainly to avoid being injured by the explosive energy of the Super Divine Sunday. These warships often needed to circle around the Super Divine Sun to absorb energy to replenish their energy cores. The sudden burst of power from the supermassive Divine Sun could destroy such a warship. Therefore, the control room Xian Qingning was in exploded with an extremely powerful thrust the moment the super warship was destroyed, catapulting the entire control room out. However, even after being ejected, the outer wall of the main control room was still damaged by the energy of the Divine Sun nuclear bomb. The people inside quickly put on their armor, broke out of the damaged main control room, and flew into the sky to take refuge. Those who had escaped death gasped for air. Even Xian Qingning's heart was filled with shock and fear. Especially when they were floating high up in the sky and overlooking the entire process of the super warship crashing down, they were shocked to the extreme. What was that? It could actually destroy such a powerful super warship. Only the explosive energy of a supermassive Divine Sun could cause damage to their battleships, but this kind of thing rarely happened. The eruption of a supermassive Divine Sun was very rare, and it could be predicted and avoided in advance. Xian Qingning clenched her fists and trembled from head to toe. Fear and anger had caused her to lose control of her emotions. This was something she had never experienced before. Third young master, we still have 2 super warships. Should we continue? A middle-aged man asked after recovering from his shock. Xian Qingning closed her eyes. The area below had already turned into a sea of fire. During the process of destruction, the energy core within the warship would also explode. That was why the entire warship exploded in such a shocking manner. Let's ask the Master of Supreme Darkness. Xian Qingning didn't dare to make a decision on her own. She was truly worried that the remaining 2 warships would be destroyed. The previous 2 super battleships had already set off for other treasure lands, but she immediately ordered the super battleship to take off and quickly enter deep space to hide. The Divine Inscription Mountain that had transformed into a stone ship had already flown away. Qin Yun only had 3 Divine Sun nuclear bombs. They were made by using the pill transformation Heavenly Cauldron to refine the inner core of the little Divine Sunday. It consumed a lot of energy and time, so it was impossible to mass-produce them. The most important thing was the little Divine Yang core. This was a very rare resource. It was very difficult to obtain the little Divine Yang core in this universe. After his cultivation was restricted to the 9th level of the Divine Space Realm, he could no longer control those small Divine Suns as easily as before. The most difficult thing was that in the early stages of the formation of all kinds of small Divine Sun, they would receive the protection of the Universe Law Spirit. Furthermore, they were much stronger than before, so they wouldn't be destroyed so easily. The energy cores in the battleships of the various major factions were mainly based on the Little Divine Sun core, but this was all in the past. In the future, there would be one less Little Divine Sun core destroyed, so it was very rare. As a result, the various major forces were unable to expand their warships on a large scale. If one of their warships was destroyed, they could rebuild it, but it would not have the original energy core. As for Qin Yun, he had been studying the Divine Yang cultivation method recently. He has the 9 Sun Divine Spirit and the Divine Sun inside it is growing rapidly. Not only does he want to cultivate the Divine Sun in his 9 Sun Divine Spirit, he also wants to create a Divine Sun in the future so that he can have 9 different powerful Divine Suns. Apart from this, he also wanted to create the Little Divine Sunday. This was a great killing weapon. When the time comes, no one else will have one and he will have a large amount. This will allow him to become the ruler of the Divine Desolate. If anyone doesn't submit, he will blow them up until they submit. Xian Qingning held the magic mirror and contacted the Great Profundity Star Lord. Father, you should have seen the process. It was your daughter's mistake, I underestimated Qin Yun. According to my speculation, it should be the violent explosion caused by the little divine sun core. Don't forget, Qin Yun has the bloodline heavenly pattern box. Furthermore, he is an inscription master with unfathomable strength. He has the ability to modify the little divine sun core. The Great Profundity Star Lord's voice sounded. You will learn from your mistakes. Next time you face Qin Yun, don't lower your guard. Then, what should we do next? Xian Qingning asked. This was the greatest setback she had ever suffered in her life, causing her to lose her mind. I sent your second brother over. Leave the rest to him. After you return, properly study this Qin Yun. We will gather a large amount of information about him. The Great Profundity Star Lord said, this person can create such a great killing weapon. The four great empires and all the Taisher powers will definitely attach great importance to him and list him as the #1 threat. Then, everyone should work together to eliminate him. Xian Qingning said, our operation this time is also to obtain Qin Yun's bloodline heavenly pattern box and then distribute it to them. Now that our battleships have been destroyed, will they not take action? Qingning, how many more of those weapons does Qin Yun have? Do you know? What if this guy comes to Nine Sun Sacred Land and attacks our headquarters? Who can stand it? The Great Profundity Star Lord said, now that Qin Yun has given up a few treasured lands, it is like throwing away a burden. He can mess with whoever he wants. Furthermore, he can break through the restrictions of space. Also, how do you think he can become the Divine King of Divine Desolate? Xian Qingning turned silent. Qin Yun's cultivation is not high, but this is the most terrifying thing about him. He is clearly a person with low cultivation, but he has become a divine king and caused chaos among the major powers. Especially the exotic cat kingdom, they were beaten to their knees and submitted. Next, we will go to the exotic cat kingdom. The exotic cat kingdom has many battleships. Furthermore, they were defeated by Qin Yun and are safe and sound. They must be loyal to Qin Yun. He has so many battleships and a large number of little divine sun cores. This is what we lack. This way we can deter the powers that want to submit to Qin Yun and also collect and store the little divine sun cores. At the same time, we can cut off Qin Yun's path of obtaining the little divine sun cores. Yes, Qingning will go back now. Xian Qingning took out a flying tool and entered it, flying towards Nine Sun Sacred Land. The others who survived went to the 2 super battleships. Your Majesty, you are truly a divine strategist. The general beside Exotic Cat King looked at the sea of fire and exclaimed repeatedly. We are in trouble. Exotic Cat King said with a grave expression. The weapon Qin Yun used should have been modified from the little divine sun cores. We have a lot of battleships and a lot of little divine sun cores. Now that many people are targeting us, they just happen to find an excuse to mess with us. Then, is it the Taisher faction coming to mess with us? The general cried out in alarm. The Great Profundity Star lost a super battleship this time. Only they have a reason to mess with us. The other factions will not fight with them. Exotic Cat King let out a long sigh. If they come, then come. I have long wanted to meet these Taisher factions that are as powerful as the Empire. Chapter 3199. The big shots of the 4 empires and the Taisher powers were the first to know about the destruction of the Great Xian planet's super battleship. Compared to the previous times, Qin Yun's counterattack caused an even greater sensation. When the strange cat kingdom was defeated, the Taisher powers and the empires only raised Qin Yun's threat level by a bit. But now, they directly raised Qin Yun's threat level to the highest, but the empires still did not directly attack. If Qin Yun was besieged by too many powerful forces, it might cause an unnecessary backlash, and allow Qin Yun to unite even more powerful races. If the powerful races of the Divine Desolate knew that their God King was so powerful that he was besieged by the four empires, they would definitely worship Qin Yun even more. Even if only a small number of powerful races joined Qin Yun's camp, it would still provide Qin Yun with a very powerful force. There are many strong races in the heavens Divine Desolate. These races are currently in a state of disunity. Furthermore, they occupy very rich resources. As long as Qin Yun can unite a tenth of the strong races, it will be a huge force. If the 90,000 universe godsons appeared, the resources controlled by these powerful races might even increase. As for how the Taisha powers and the four empires would eliminate the threat of Qin Yun, no one knew. In short, the great Xian planet had to recover. After all, they had lost a super battleship and suffered such a great loss. Even if they did not profit from attacking Qin Yun's treasured land, they could not make a loss. Otherwise, their great Xian planet would be laughed at by the other Taisha powers. Not only would they suffer losses, they would also lose face. If Qin Yun successfully occupied a few treasured lands, the great Xian planet would be able to make a small profit. But no matter what the result was, Qin Yun had lost beautifully. Yes, he was forced to give up his treasured land, but the enemy was not much better. They had lost a super battleship. Qin Yun used this opportunity to destroy the super battleship to send an important message to the entire Divine Desolate. It could intimidate those powerful forces and at the same time, make more powerful races acknowledge him. A large number of barbarian lifeforms, beasts, beastmen and humans, were all enslaved and controlled by the great Xian planet. At this moment, they were all crazily entering those treasured lands. There were many barbarian lifeforms, but only a few were powerful. Although most of them were also very powerful, they could only be enslaved by the Taisha powers with strong foundations. The two super warships first broke through the enchantment of the treasure land, and then sent out many leaders, responsible for controlling the barbarians to enter the treasure land to mine resources. The barbarian lifeforms began to dig up the divine universe metal stones, and they soon triggered the traps in the treasure land. After a period of reproduction, those trap arrays bred array seeds, which rapidly multiplied and spread deep underground. There were a lot of traps under the treasure land. If a barbarian species fell into the traps, they would be devoured. The trap formation has been modified by Qin Yun. It has a large number of poison bloodline heavenly runes and runes with devouring ability. After stepping into the trap array, it was very difficult to escape. When they wanted to erupt with a powerful strength to struggle, they found that their strength was draining away very quickly. In the end, they were sucked dry by the trap array. Even a medium-sized treasure trove would take more than half a day to fly through, and this was only a medium-sized treasure trove. If it was a larger one, it would be even larger. But now, the natural environment was growing very quickly, and the ground had become very sturdy, especially the ground inside the treasure land, which was even sturdier. The traps hidden under the treasured land were very difficult to destroy unless a super warship was used to bombard the treasured land continuously. However, the traps covered the depths of the treasure land and the treasure land was very big. Using a super warship to bombard it would not be worth it. Moreover, even if the powerful energy of the super warship could destroy the underground trap array, it would also destroy those divine universe metal stones. The most sinister part of the traps was this place. It was like a hedgehog, there was no way to attack. Either it consumed a lot of energy or it would be full of injuries. The second son of the extreme profundity Star Lord came here. He was in charge of commanding the excavation of the treasure land. He is very experienced in this aspect. Before he came here, he even joked about his sister Xian Qingning, saying that she was the only one among so many Taisha factions who lost a super warship. He knew that Qin Yun was very powerful, but after he controlled the super giant ship to break through the enchantments of those treasure lands, he was sure that Qin Yun did not have that kind of terrifying weapon. Previously, He only used all the powerful weapons in order to intimidate them. However, he quickly discovered that these treasure lands could not be excavated. They came from afar and painstakingly destroyed the barrier of the treasure land. Originally, they thought that they would have a great harvest, but they discovered that they could not obtain anything. The extreme profundity star suffered a great loss this time. They could not even earn back the travel expenses, and they even lost a super warship and all the outstanding disciples of the warship. Qin Yun soaked in the divine inscription mountain and leisurely ate divine fruit. Shui Tianzi and Zi Qingqing accompanied him. After relaxing, he arrived at a prairie inside the divine inscription mountain. General Chu Limin, Pavilion Master Luo Yea, 9 Dragon Kingdoms Long Jinchuan and the representatives of the 3 factions were waiting for Qin Yun here. Your Excellency God King, although you gave up the treasure land this time, the other party did not obtain any benefits and even suffered a great loss. It can be said that you have won. Chu Limin said. She admired Qin Yun very much. The Taisher faction's first public appearance ended in this kind of situation. They won't just let it go like this. Luo Ye said. Our Shadow Pavilion will do our best to collect information and keep abreast of the latest developments of the Taisher faction. Long Jinchuan said. Your Excellency God King, our 9 Dragon Kingdom has already entered a treasure land. We are cooperating with a strong race, and have already stabilized. As long as Your Excellency God King needs it, we in that strong race will definitely do our best to help. Qin Yun nodded and said, The extreme profundity star and the 4 great empires shouldn't make a move against me in the short term. However, they will definitely use other methods to knock me down. For example, making a move against my allies. If my Phoenix Kingdom goes all out, even if it's a Taisher faction or an empire, they will still have to bleed. Chu Limin said. If they come, my Phoenix Kingdom will dare to fight. Luo Yaya said. Sister Shu is currently hiding in a strong race. They won't be able to find her. Even if they find her, it will be difficult for them to attack. We are not afraid. After all, this is no longer their world. Long Jinchuan said. Qin Yun said. They can't touch you now, so their target will be the exotic cat kingdom that just entered the 9-Sun Holy Land. Speaking of the exotic cat kingdom, Luo Yea and the others frowned. The exotic cat kingdom has completely submitted to Qin Yun. When they started fighting with Qin Yun, they promptly admitted defeat, so they did not suffer too many losses. They have a large number of battleships and little divine sun core. The Great Profundity Star's attack on the Golden Claw treasure land this time is not small. They must make up for their losses from other places, and the exotic cat kingdom is the best choice. The exotic cat king is not simple. He can hold on for a period of time. While their attention is focused on the exotic cat kingdom, we will go snatch the primordial ancient ruins controlled by the Crown Prince of Deluo. Qin Yun said. We will quickly take down the primordial ancient ruins and immediately go help the exotic cat king. We can't let his little divine sun core fall into the hands of the Great Profundity Star. Chapter 3200. Exotic Cat King was now completely loyal to Qin Yun. Although he did not make it public, the other factions must have guessed it. Otherwise, Qin Yun would not have let him go and let him enter the 9-Sun sacred ground. Exotic Cat Kingdom was very important to Qin Yun. He wanted to go to the 9-Sun sacred ground in the future, and Exotic Cat Kingdom was the best base. Moreover, Exotic Cat Kingdom had a large population. After all, it used to be a mid-tier kingdom. There were many talents in all aspects. Qin Yun needed a large number of craftsmen, and Exotic Cat Kingdom had a lot of them. Qin Yun needed a large number of craftsmen to create all kinds of weapons. This required experienced craftsmen. Subduing Exotic Cat Kingdom was equivalent to controlling a very rich human resource. Therefore, Qin Yun would not let Exotic Cat Kingdom be destroyed. He had already sent people to find Exotic Cat King and sent him a small spatial sound transmission array. This small spatial sound transmission array was just made by an Wukong and the space god. It was as big as a large vat. Divine Universe Goldstones could be put in to activate the array and transmit sound through space. Qin Yun would not use Daluo Empire's magic mirror. It was said that in order to promote these magic mirrors, Daluo Empire had invited 3 other empires to join. There were also many Taisher factions behind them. As long as these magic mirrors were promoted, the entire God Wilderness would be monitored. Communication through the magic mirror would definitely be eavesdrop. Although the small spatial sound transmission array Qin Yun used was cumbersome, it was very safe. It could be said that it was completely confidential. Exotic Cat King was returning to Exotic Cat Kingdom. It would take at least a few days for Qin Yun to talk to him. The Taishan Star's attack on Exotic Cat Kingdom was a sudden decision. They definitely needed to make a comprehensive plan. This would take time, and then it would take a lot of time to deploy troops. It would also take some time to set off to Exotic Cat Kingdom's territory. It would take at least 2 months to complete the whole thing. As for Qin Yun and the others, they needed to take down Daluo Crown Prince's primordial ruins within 2 months. After that, they would go help Exotic Cat Kingdom. The outside world knew that Exotic Cat King recognized Qin Yun as the Divine King. It could be said that he was the first king of a kingdom to be defeated by Qin Yun. Now that he followed Qin Yun, if he was defeated by the Taisher factions, Qin Yun would definitely lose his prestige. Qin Yun now needed other powerful races to join in. He did not need them to participate in the battle, but he needed them to provide resources. These powerful races all occupied powerful treasure lands and were rich in resources. As long as they provided him with a small amount of divine universe metal stones and other refining materials from time to time, with so many powerful races gathered together, they would have a massive amount of resources. The various Grand Prime organizations and the 4 empires all wanted the resources offered up by the treasured lands. They had once tried to subdue the powerful races there, and they could indeed subdue them, but subduing all of them was very difficult. Furthermore, by doing so, it would cause many powerful races to view them as enemies. It would make them more inclined towards Qin Yun, the godly monarch. Now in the Gods Desolate, as long as one could gather these powerful races and obtain the resources provided by them, one would be able to grasp an extremely powerful force. Qin Yun doesn't have a stable territory now. He has to rely on the Heavenly Tao altar to run around. If those powerful races want to follow him and acknowledge him as their divine king, it will be very difficult for them to find him. He had thought of this before, so he had already made arrangements. Qin Yun handed over the task of contacting the various races to the gods of the Myriad Realms' divine court. Although the gods of the Myriad Realms' divine court are not particularly strong, they are very familiar with the terrain of the Gods Desolate. Moreover, they have long since collected detailed information about many powerful races. Furthermore, within the 4 divine sons, there is also the Imperial Heaven Pawnshop. The Imperial Heaven Pawnshop has already merged with the Myriad Realms' divine court. Currently, the Imperial Heaven Pawnshop still maintains contact with the Ancient Desolate. However, it is intermittent. It has been a while since they sent anything to the Ancient Desolate. One must know that the Imperial Heaven Pawnshop also has something similar to the Spatial Origin Stone. Furthermore, the Imperial Heaven Pawnshop also has a very detailed map of the Gods Desolate. This can make it convenient for the Spatial God and an Wukong to quickly go to those powerful races and contact them. Qin Yun looked at his 9-son divine spirit. He has been trying to open the 8th and 9th pearl, but he has been unable to do so. The last time the 9-son law spirit contacted him, it said that there were things left behind by the 9-son law spirit and the universe law spirit inside. Didn't you say that I needed Yuelon's help to open it? Later on, Yuelon and I joined hands to no avail. How can I open it? Qin Yun very much wants to know what is inside. He is currently inside the Heavenly Law altar, crafting a large-scale formation. Fortunately, he has the help of the Divine King Heavenly Seal and Taisher brother. It is very easy for him to craft the formation pillars. The pillars are provided by Phoenix Kingdom, Luo Shu and Nine Dragon Kingdom. They have many ready-made pillars. Qin Yun only needs to use the Divine King Heavenly Seal and the Bloodline Heavenly Rune Box to craft the formation. He will be able to quickly craft the formation used to bestow Bloodline Heavenly Rune. Currently, this kind of formation can only bestow Bloodline Heavenly Rune to the 5th generation. It is also the most advanced formation in the Gods Desolate. It is much better than the Taisher factions. Qin Yun spent a full 10 days to craft several batches. The Myriad Realms Divine Court, Divine Moon Clan, Phoenix Kingdom, Luo Shu, Nine Dragon Kingdom, and one for the future Dragon's race. The Myriad Realms Divine Court has 2 such formations. One is for internal use and the other is to help the other races of the 4 Divine Sons obtain Bloodline Heavenly Runes. Qin Yun told others that he spent a great amount of money to craft them. He didn't say how much it cost. In short, all the factions are very happy after obtaining the formation. Phoenix Kingdom and Luo Shu directly gave Qin Yun trillions of Divine Universe Golden Stones. Nine Dragon Kingdom helped Qin Yun a lot before. Originally, they wanted to give Qin Yun some, but Qin Yun didn't want it. He told them to develop properly. They were ambushed by the crown princes of 2 empires and suffered great losses. Next, Qin Yun wants to start cultivating. He wants to increase his own strength. In the Gods Desolate, the strongest other people are only this strong. But Qin Yun is different. He has the 9 Sun Divine Soul, Divine King Heavenly Seal, and all kinds of powerful equipment. He can make his own strength even stronger. He has many aspects to improve. For example, mental power. He suspects that the reason why he can't open the 9 Sun Divine Soul's 8th and 9th pearl is because his mental power is not strong enough. Finally, I can cultivate for a period of time. Not only Qin Yun is cultivating, old brother Taisher is also studying the Yu Clan Heavenly Talisman and Bloodline Heavenly Rune characters. After Qin Yun cultivated for a few days, Xian Sha Zi came to find him urgently. After he arrived at the Heavenly Law altar, he entered a very spacious hall. 9 Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda is erected here. Qin Yun is inside the pagoda. Boss, Heaven Opening Ancient Races side has an important matter to discuss. Is it convenient now? Xian Shazi asked. What is it? Qin Yun asked. They found out a lot of information regarding the primordial ancient ruins. Xian Shazi said. Chapter 3201. A complete copy update the latest chapter of the 9 Suns Divine King as soon as possible. Qin Yun was cultivating, but he did not need to be fully focused. The godly monarch Heavenly Seal was absorbing the Divine Universe Goldstone and strengthening the Divine Cosmos in his body, raising the upper limits of the Divine Universe power. This process was rather easy. He was on the 2nd level of the 9 Suns Sky-Raising Pagoda, while the people of the Heaven-Splitting Ancient Clan entered the 1st level. The person from the Heaven-Splitting Clan was Elder Yu Li Fan of the ancient Heavenly Moon Clan. Qin Yun had not been in contact with the Heaven-Splitting Ancient Clan for some time, but his relationship with them had always been pretty good. Xiao Qihong could be considered half a master to him. He had passed down the Yu Heavenly Talisman to him, and his relationship with the other races of the Heaven-Splitting Ancient Race was not bad. For example, the Qi Ancient Clan had been helping Qi Malian cultivate for many years. Qin Yun was still very concerned about his younger sister. Although he did not meet her often, he often learned about her from the Divine Moon Clan. Qi Malian's aptitude was originally very good, especially after she obtained the Bloodline Heavenly Mark. She also awakened a very special and powerful ability. She had a pair of strange eyes that could penetrate deep into the ground and see some strange rocks underground. She couldn't see the divine universe metal stone, but she could see many strange stones. The last time Yu Shangyun came, she had mentioned this matter to Qin Yun. She had brought Qi Meiyan to look for those stones. The stones that were dug out were all very rare ores. Qi Meilan's current ability was still unstable, but as her cultivation increased, it would gradually stabilize in the future. Before Yu Lifan entered the Nine-Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda, he already knew that Qin Yun is cultivating, so it is inconvenient for him to show himself. Senior, what's the situation with the heaven-splitting ancient clan? Qin Yun's voice came from above. Our current plan is to establish a heaven-opening gate. We will not build a kingdom or anything like that. We will mainly preach the Tao and absorb the outstanding talents of the various powerful races in the divine wilderness. Yu Lifan said, Shao Qin, the main reason I came this time is to learn about the primordial ruins. This matter is extremely important. Senior, please speak. Qin Yun said. The main reason the heaven-splitting clan wanted to spread their teachings was to spread the inheritance they possessed. They did not want to establish a kingdom or anything like that. They wanted to separate from the ancient factions and walk their own path. The Luo Crown Prince came to find us. He wants our treasure land. Yu Lifan said. Your treasured land? Where is it? Qin Yun did not know that the heaven-splitting ancient clan had a treasure land because the heaven-splitting ancient clan was still active in the heaven's divine moon. With the protection of the divine moon, the Grand Primes and the Four Empires did not dare to act recklessly in the divine moon. The divine moon of the heavens does not belong to the heaven-splitting ancient clan. It belongs to all the powerful clans in the divine wilderness of the heavens. We will definitely open it up in the future. The Nine Suns Dharma Spirit gave us a treasure land. It can be considered a large treasure land, but it is not within the Nine Suns' sacred land. Yu Lifan said. This treasured land was extremely good in all aspects. It was enough for us to establish our own sect and establish a great undertaking. Later on, we discovered that there was something under the treasured land. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. It was obvious that the Nine-Yang Dharma Spirit had deliberately arranged for such a treasure land to be given to the heaven-splitting ancient clan. When did Crown Prince Zenith Luo seek you out? Asked Qin Yun. He has been sending people to contact us, asking us to offer the treasured land, but he didn't say why. So we didn't agree to his request. A few days ago, his avatar came to find the various patriarchs of the heaven-splitting ancient clan and told us that there is a primordial ancient ruin under the treasured land. Only they have a way to enter, said Yu Lifan. Qin Yun took a deep breath. Those grand primes and empires indeed have a way to find primordial ancient ruins. Did you agree? Qin Yun asked. The heaven-splitting ancient clan once served the great Luo Empire. Later on, with the permission of the great Luo Empire, they were able to surpass the divine space realm. However, not long after, they were beaten back to the divine space realm. Moreover, they have been trying to surpass their limits for many years. However, they have been secretly obstructed by the great Luo Empire, causing many of them to die. They are filled with resentment towards the great Luo Empire. Especially now, the great Luo Empire can actually enslave barbarians. We didn't agree. When the great Luo Crown Prince's avatar came, he brought 50,000 barbarians with him. Yu Lifan said very angrily. The heaven-splitting ancient clan is most afraid of barbarians. It can be said that they have lived under the shadow of barbarians for most of their lives. Back then, they were also persecuted by the great Luo Empire and forced to enter the barbarian universe. What is the great Luo Crown Prince's reaction? Qin Yun will soon clash with the great Luo Crown Prince. He is very concerned about his movement. If he can make the heaven-splitting ancient clan divert the great Luo Crown Prince's attention, then it might be even easier to succeed. He gave us a deadline. If we don't agree within the deadline, they won't be polite. Yuli Fan said, Little Qin, our heaven-splitting ancient clan is not afraid of threats, we are not afraid of death. We have already prepared for the worst. Qin Yun has seen the heaven-splitting ancient clan members who returned from the barbarian universe. Qin Yun still can't forget the scene of them resisting the barbarian life forms in the Nine Sun sacred ground. Senior, do you trust me? Qin Yun asked. In the divine desolate, only you, Little Qin, are worthy of our heaven-splitting ancient clan's trust. Yuli Fan said, This time, I have come representing the entire heaven-splitting ancient clan. After speaking, he took out many tokens. These are the tokens of various clan leaders and elders. They are currently being monitored. In order to avoid alerting the enemy, they did not personally come. First step, in 30 days, you will deliberately leak the news and let the great Luo Crown Prince know that you have come to find me and want to join hands with us to explore the primordial ancient ruins under your heaven creation treasure land. Second step, after leaking the news, start eliminating the spies in your heaven-splitting ancient clan. Great Luo Empire has planted many spies in your clan. Use soul contract and other methods to eliminate them one by one. Third step, you will be attacked by the great Luo Crown Prince. Your treasure land can resist for a period of time. During this period of time, don't do anything, I will definitely support you. Also, train a large number of craftsmen. I need you to help me forge all kinds of tools. Qin Yun also believes in Yuli Fan and the upper echelons of the heaven-splitting ancient clan. After all, they have already turned to the Nine Sun Law Spirit. In the Divine Desolate, the Nine Sun Law Spirit is the greatest. With the Nine Sun Law Spirit to rely on, they have the confidence to fight against the great Luo Empire. Alright, we will definitely do it, Yuli Fan said. Pay attention, don't let the great Luo Crown Prince enter your treasure land. Wait for my news, I will send people to contact you and help you eliminate the spies. Qin Yun said. I will immediately go and arrange it. Yuli Fan immediately left. Qin Yun is very curious about the primordial ancient ruins under the heaven creation treasure land. The sudden appearance of the primordial ancient ruins is something that Qin Yun did not expect. It is extremely likely that it is the inheritance left behind by the Nine Sun Law Spirit. If the heaven-splitting ancient clan can completely understand the primordial ancient ruins, they might become a powerful faction in the future. Chapter 3202. Although Qin Yun was in seclusion, he had already made the necessary preparations. He had a high chance of winning the battle for the primordial ancient ruins. Most of his preparations were to save the strange cat kingdom. He had already gotten the Nine Dragons Kingdom, Phoenix Kingdom, Luo Shu, the Divine Court of Myriad Realms and the Divine Moon Clan to use their craftsmen to forge the 10,000 God-devouring arrow. If the Great Xian Star wanted to attack the strange cat kingdom, they would definitely use a fleet. They would also use super huge warships, but the flexibility of these huge warships was limited. It was impossible to destroy such a large strange cat kingdom. Therefore, they had to send out their fleet and sweep through the strange cat kingdom. Other than that, Qin Yun had also made many arrangements. For example, he had Murong Darren and Hong Yen lead his team to travel everywhere to brag. The main reason was to smear the Taisher powers and the Four Empires. At the same time, they would spread the news of the primordial ancient ruins. These things could not be said on the magic mirror. If they were to say it, it would expose Murong Darren's position, and it would be immediately deleted. Therefore, Murong Darren needed to lead a team to personally go to the various powerful races and cities to spread the news. They had divine artifacts that could travel through space, so they could quickly travel through various places. The matter of the primordial ancient ruins was very important. There were definitely many in the divine desolate land, and the various powerful races did not know about it. The Taisher powers and the Four Empires would not speak of this matter because they wanted to control all the primordial ancient ruins. After the powerful races of the divine desolate land knew about the primordial ancient ruins, they would not be fooled away. Qin Yun guessed that there should be primordial ancient ruins beneath some treasure lands. Or perhaps there were some powerful races that could detect where the primordial ancient ruins were. If a powerful race could obtain an inheritance from the primordial ancient ruins, their strength would increase rapidly. In the divine desolate land, they would also have the power to resist the primordial powers and empires. The magic mirror was already controlled by the four empires and the primordial powers. They had deep control over the magic mirror and placed great importance on it. They sent out a large number of people to monitor the various discussions on the magic mirror and listen to the information of the magic mirror users. He used the magic mirror as a platform to smear Qin Yun's name. Most people believed it. After all, people followed blindly. They could see all sorts of negative content about Qin Yun on the magic mirror every day. Furthermore, they did not understand Qin Yun as a person. Over time, their impression of Qin Yun was negative. It had to be said that this move by the empires and grand primes was very destructive. Qin Yun was basically infamous in the hearts of many people. Only those people with power and influence were well aware of this. Especially the leaders of the powerful clans, they couldn't be clearer about this matter. Qin Yun had long foreseen that he would be smeared on the magic mirror. He did not care because the great era of the divine wilderness had just begun. The person who could walk further would be the biggest winner. Although he did not care, he had played with the magic mirror first after all. He was not exactly under the control of the Grand Prime organizations or empires. As a result, he arranged for his disciple, Wu Shaoding, to create a team that specialized in researching the magic mirror systems of the four empires and Grand Primes. He wanted to find a way to infiltrate them and find their magic mirror formation foundations or cause various damage. Many of the young outsiders were very interested in this, and they all joined in. Wu Shaoding understood the magic mirror very well, so he was the person in charge. He had previously reported to Qin Yun and there had already been some progress. Qin Yun stopped cultivating for a few hours and specially made an array to enhance bloodline heavenly runes for the Heaven-Splitting Ancient Clan. The Heaven-Splitting Ancient Clan was a faction with a very promising future. Qin Yun had to rope them in. Before this, the Heaven-Splitting Ancient Clan had been desperately exploring bloodline heavenly runes, using all kinds of methods to enhance their bloodline heavenly runes. However, due to the pressure of the empires, they had to do it secretly. The two arrays were given to Yu Lifan to place one in the divine moon of heavens and the other in the heaven-splitting treasure land. This was to let their disciples obtain fifth-generation bloodline heavenly runes as soon as possible. The heaven-splitting ancient clan was extremely excited. They did not want Qin Yun for nothing. They directly gave Qin Yun 2 trillion divine universe goldstones. It had to be said that the heaven-splitting ancient clan was very rich. They had once made a fortune in the Nine Sun sacred ground and had received the secret help of the Nine Suns Dharma spirit. Now that they were in the divine moon of heavens, it could be said that they were rich in resources. Qin Yun was even more at ease to cultivate after obtaining this large amount of divine universe goldstones. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yun cultivated for a month and used up more than 2 trillion divine universe goldstones. The upper limit of his divine universe power had increased to 240,000, reaching the peak of the 8th level of the divine space realm. He could break through soon. However, if he broke through just like that, the upper limit of his divine universe power would be very low after he reached the 9th level of the divine space realm. Therefore, he had to temper all the divine universe heavenly bones in his body and strengthen them. He wanted to increase the upper limit of his divine universe power as much as possible before he broke through. Then, he used more than 1 trillion divine universe goldstones to increase his mental energy by 1,000. He now had 1,200 mental energy. This was a very high level. It should be known that Xiao Qihong's mental energy was only this much. As for those people whose cultivation had regressed, only their divine universe power had regressed. Their mental energy had not regressed by much. However, their mental energy was not frighteningly high either. That was because it was harder to increase mental energy in the later stages. Qin Yun learned from Luo Ye that she used to have more than 2,000 mental energy. Even the top experts of the empires and Taisher factions were at most 2 or 3 times higher than her, with a mental energy of around 5,000 or 6,000. In other words, it would not be difficult for Qin Yun to catch up to them. It was very difficult to multiply one's mental energy, but Malheur could multiply it tenfold. Therefore, her mental energy was very terrifying. This was also one of the reasons why the great Luo Empire wanted to capture her. Qin Yun also asked Malheur how her mental power exploded, but she also did not know the reason. The Divine King Heavenly Seal also needed to rest. It could not be used by Qin Yun to upgrade it. Qin Yun walked out of the 9-sun sky raising pagoda. Strange Cat King had already received Qin Yun's spatial sound transmission array. Ling Yun was responsible for contacting Strange Cat King. If it was not an important matter, Ling Yun would make a record and report to Qin Yun at regular intervals. Strange Cat King was now under great pressure because the Great Mysterious Planet's fleet had been dispatched. The Great Mysterious Planet was originally a Taisher faction of the Huoling universe. The Great Mysterious Planet was now fighting against the Strange Cat King with Prince Huoling's fleet. Prince Huoling also wanted a piece of the pie and hoarded some small divine sun cores. Qin Yun did not say much to Strange Cat King. "Hold on, I will come to help you." Strange Cat King certainly believed in Qin Yun. If Qin Yun really helped him, it meant that Qin Yun would have to enter the 9-sun Holy Land, which was very risky. Qin Yun held a meeting on the first floor of the 9-sun sky raising pagoda. Phoenix Queen, Luo Shu, 9-Dragon King and the patriarch of a powerful clan were all ready to set off for the great Luo Crown Prince's Taisher historical site at any time. Chapter 3203. The primordial historical site they were going to had been occupied by the Crown Prince a long time ago. Although it was a relatively small primordial historical site, it was still a primordial historical site. The Crown Prince attached great importance to the primordial historical site, so much so that he put most of his energy into exploring it. That was why he did not cause trouble for Qin Yun and Luo Shu during this period of time. To the Crown Prince, Luo Shu was far more of a threat than Qin Yun. As long as Luo Shu did not die, she could replace him as Celestial Emperor. Luo Shu had been marginalized, but the Celestial Emperor hadn't killed her. Instead, he'd spared her life and sent word to the other heavyweights of the Empire that Luo Shu was his daughter, and that no one was allowed to kill her. The Crown Prince was still brooding over the fact that the Celestial Emperor kept Luo Shu alive, but he did not dare say anything in front of his father. Luo Shu once had a Taisher faction behind her, but that faction had already sold her out. After using her, they abandoned her and even turned to the Crown Prince. Luo Shu was once a princess and had fought against the Crown Prince for many years. She was not someone to be trifled with. Even though she was abandoned by the Celestial Emperor and the Taisher faction, she was not discouraged and still wanted to rise. This time, Luo Shu played a very important role in the fight for the primordial historical site. This was because she knew where the Grand Prime Ruin was, and she had sent people to investigate further during this period of time. The primordial ancient ruins are under the Human Snake Treasure Land, but I haven't found anything strange on the surface of the Treasure Land, Luo Shu said. Phoenix Queen, Luo Shu, 9 Dragons King, and Qin Yun were not very familiar with the powerful races of the Divine Wilderness. Therefore, they all looked at the leader of the powerful race that came with 9 Dragons King. Before the 9 Dragons Kingdom came to the Divine Wilderness, they had already found a powerful race to cooperate with, the Dragon Turtle race. Although the Dragon Turtle Treasure Land was not within the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, it was very vast and could be considered a very large treasure land in the Divine Wilderness. The Nine Dragons Kingdom and the Dragon Turtle race could be said to have hit it off. The Dragon Turtle race leader looked like a kind old man filled with wisdom. As the leader of a race, he was naturally very powerful. In addition, his mental power is very powerful. Qin Yun can sense that the Dragon Turtle Patriarch's mental power is on par with Phoenix Queen and Nine Dragon Kings. The Phoenix Queen and the Nine Dragons King were both kings of mid-level celestial Earths, people whose cultivation bases had regressed. As for the Dragon Turtle Patriarch, he was born and raised in the deity Desolate, yet he had such powerful mental strength. It was very surprising. Therefore, the Phoenix Queen and Luo Shu were very respectful towards this old man. Among our powerful races, the treasure grounds outside of the Nine Sun Sacred Ground are divided into super treasure grounds, great treasure grounds, medium treasure grounds, and small treasure grounds. Small treasure lands were the most common, followed by medium great treasure lands, and super treasure lands were the least. The Human Snake Treasured Land is one of the super treasured lands. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. What about the Golden Claw Treasure Land? Qin Yun asked. Your Excellency Divine King, out of the few treasure lands before you, only the Golden Claw Treasure Land is a great treasure land. The others are all medium treasure lands. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch smiled and said, Of course, a super treasure land is nothing in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. However, if the ninth Divine Sun appears, the treasure lands outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground will be strengthened. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. This Dragon Turtle Patriarch actually knew so much. With the appearance of the 90,000 Universe Divine Sun, won't the treasure lands inside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground also become stronger? The Phoenix Queen asked. The treasure land where her Phoenix Kingdom was located was also a super treasure land. No, the 90,000 Universe Divine Sun will shine outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. Inside the Sacred Ground, there are already too many Divine Sun resources. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, If I'm not wrong, after the appearance of the ninth Divine Sun, the primordial ancient ruins will become even more important. Luo Shu hurriedly said, The primordial factions said that they can't find any primordial ancient ruins in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. Could it be that the primordial ancient ruins were deliberately placed outside the sacred ground? The Dragon Turtle Patriarch nodded and said, The ninth Divine Sun is very powerful. As for what will happen, I don't know. But I am certain that the inheritance of the primordial ancient ruins is closely related to the 9 divine sons of myriad realms. Dragon Turtle Patriarch, have you come into contact with the human snake race? The Phoenix Queen asked. I've come into contact with them before. They are rather cold, but they are not evil. They can be considered a relatively righteous and strong race. They're a powerful race from a supreme treasure ground. They're not weak, so they shouldn't lower their heads to a Taisher faction or the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo, right? The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said with a frown, If there is nothing unusual about the human snake treasure ground, it means that the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo and the rest are doing it in secret. Qin Yun said, The primordial era ruins should be deep underground. Perhaps the serpent race's patriarch discovered the primordial era ruins but was unable to enter. That's why he had no choice but to cooperate with Crown Prince de Luo and company. While Qin Yun and others are discussing about the Serpent Treasure Land, Luo Yea is outside the Nine Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda and said in low voice, News just came from the Magic Mirror. There is a primordial era historical site under the Serpent Treasure Land. This news was released by the Serpent race. They also said that this treasure land belongs to them and no one can steal it. Yaya, continue to pay attention to this matter, Luo Shu said. Then, she closed her eyes and took a small breath. Miss Luo Shu, you know about the primordial ruins, but you don't just know where they are, right? The Dragon Turtle Patriarch asked. I have a key to the primordial era ruins. This key was given to me by my father, Luo Shu said. A key given by the Heavenly Emperor of Zenith Luo? Qin Yun, Phoenix Queen and 9 Dragon King are all very shocked. They are very puzzled as to why the Dragon Turtle Patriarch could see through it. I did hide something about this matter, but I have no other intentions. Luo Shu opened her eyes, they are filled with sincerity. She said, that key is very special. I'm not sure if it can be used to enter the primordial era ruins. But my father said that this key can allow me to enter the primordial era ruins even more smoothly. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo is in the Serpent Treasure Land. Moreover, he has already discussed with the Serpent Race Patriarch. They released the news to lure you over. He might have already guessed that you have joined hands with the Divine King, so he wants to set up a trap to lure you over. The Crown Prince of Zenith Luo is very treacherous. Previously, he sent a very important subordinate to detonate the treasure land, which posed a great threat to Qin Yun. In that case, the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo really needs the key in Miss Luo Shu's hands. 9 Dragon King added. Luo Shu sighed. The Serpent Race, the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo, the primordial powers, they can be said to have joined hands. And we have to enter deep into their territory and snatch it. Can this really succeed? We can succeed. The Serpent Race is very easy to deal with. When the time comes, we will definitely catch the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo and the primordial powers unprepared. Qin Yun said with a smile. He is filled with confidence. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch only smiled and did not say anything. Clearly, he knows how Qin Yun will deal with the Serpent Race. Chapter 3204. Qin Yun had already thought of a way to deal with the snake-human race. Although he did not know if the snake-human race would be forced to bow down to the Crown Prince of Origin Luo, Qin Yun was absolutely confident that he could suppress the snake-human race. If the snake race was truly enslaved by the Crown Prince of Great Luo, Qin Yun would rescue them. If the snake race were to cooperate with Crown Prince de Luo, Qin Yun would have no choice but to beat them into submission. The Grand Prime Ruin belongs to the Crown Prince of Daluo. He'll definitely protect it with all his might. The Grand Prime organizations probably won't send too many people. After all, there's no need for them to help the Crown Prince so much. Luo Shu said, Grand Prime organizations are still rather selfish. The primordial faction had given the Crown Prince a primordial ruin out of respect for the Celestial Emperor. At most, they had sent a few people to protect him. The Phoenix Queen gritted her teeth and said, if the Grand Prime organizations aren't here, it'll be a pity. She hated the Taisher organizations bitterly. After using her, they kicked her away. The most infuriating thing was that the Taisher organizations had given all the benefits to the Crown Prince of Daluo. To her, this was the most intolerable betrayal. Luo Shu felt the same way as her. What are the origins of the 3 Grand Prime organizations of our universe? Qin Yun asked. The one who contacted my Phoenix Kingdom is called Wang Tiange. Phoenix Queen said. What a coincidence. I'm also in contact with Wang Tiange. Luo Shu was rather surprised. And I had thought that the Grand Prime organizations behind us were different. They had never communicated with each other before, nor had they told each other about the Grand Prime organizations behind them. They only knew that they had Grand Prime organizations behind them. What about the other 2 Grand Prime organizations? Qin Yun asked. The Phoenix Queen and Luo Shu both shook their heads. 9 Dragons King said, these Taisher influences are very mysterious. In the Great Flood cosmos, I have never heard of the names of the 3 Taisher influences in our cosmos. The Grand Prime faction behind Crown Prince Daluo should also be Wang Tiange. The Phoenix Queen said, in other words, the other 2 Taisher factions have never shown themselves, and they've been in direct contact with the Celestial Emperor of Origin Luo. Luo Shu lowered her head and recalled something. She said, "My mother once told me that my father had many children, but they were all sent to other places. It's extremely likely that they've been sent to a Grand Prime organization. I heard that the Crown Prince of Grand Luo suddenly appeared and defeated all the other successors with his greatest strength to become the Crown Prince. Is that true?" Chu Limin asked. She could also be considered the Celestial Emperor's daughter. Yes. The Crown Prince of Daluo suddenly appeared. "I've never seen this elder brother before. I don't even know who his mother is." Luo Shu nodded. "Looking at it now, it's extremely likely that his mother is part of the upper echelon of a Grand Prime organization." The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "The Origin Celestial Emperor married a high-ranking woman from the Taisher faction. This means that the relationship between the Taisher faction and the Origin Luo Empire is very complicated. A few universes should be the same." Nine Dragons King said, "The Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Hong Empire should also be entangled with the Taisher forces." At this moment, Qin Yun looked at Ba Tain. Tain Ba was from the Blue Cosmos, so he was more familiar with the matters of the Great Blue Empire. "I'm not too sure about the situation in the Great Blue Empire. I only know that the Great Blue Sky Emperor has many children, and they are all very powerful. They rarely show themselves," Tyrant Ba said. Luo Shu said, "Only those whose mother comes from the Taisher faction can cultivate there. Moreover, they have special bloodline and finally become a special race." Qin Yun suddenly thought of Miluor. Miluor's father came from the royal family of the Origin Luo Empire. Could it be that Miluor's father was a prince who cultivated in the Taisher faction since childhood? The Crown Prince of Daluo has the help of his mother's side, so the Taisher faction gave him great benefits, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. Speaking of this matter, Luo Shu and Phoenix Queen secretly clenched their fists again. The Grand Prime organization had purposefully come into contact with them, offering up some resources and cultivation methods to gain their trust. Their main goal was to screw them over. Qin Yun and everyone present now guessed Phoenix Queen's identity. She should also be the daughter of the Origin Luo Heavenly Emperor. It is very likely that she is one of the earliest children of the Origin Luo Heavenly Emperor. Qin Yun looked at Phoenix Queen's grave and stern beautiful face. The Nine Suns Law Spirit told him to deal with this Phoenix Queen. In other words, Phoenix Queen must have other outstanding aspects. Outside the Nine Sun Heaven-raising pagoda, a voice suddenly came in. "Moreover, it is very urgent. Queen, the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground is under intense attack." The one who spoke was a man, a general of the Phoenix Kingdom. The Phoenix Kingdom was in the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground, and that general was teleported to the Heaven's Altar from the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground. It was obvious that the situation was urgent. The expressions of Phoenix Queen and Chu Limin changed. Qin Yun and company were also alarmed. "Pai Xiu, is the enemy coming for the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground or our Phoenix Kingdom?" Phoenix Queen asked. "I don't know. They might be from a Grand Prime organization." The Patriarch of the Vermilion Bird Clan hopes that you can go back and watch over them so that everyone can be at ease. Pai Xiu said. "Your Majesty, please go back first." Qin Yun said, "If we take down that primordial era ancient site, the Phoenix Kingdom will have a share. Li Min, stay here and listen to His Majesty the Divine King's arrangements." The Phoenix Queen stood up and gritted her teeth. "If that bastard Crown Prince of Daluo sent someone to attack the Vermilion Bird Paradise, I'll teach him a lesson. Sister Phoenix, be careful," Luo Shu reminded. "Don't worry." The Phoenix Queen nodded and immediately followed Pai Xiu back to the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land. The Vermilion Bird Treasured Land is within the Nine Sun Sacred Ground and it is a super treasure land. General Chu Limin stayed here to represent the Phoenix Kingdom. There are 50,000 powerful Phoenix warriors here. The Phoenix Kingdom can be considered to have participated greatly in this operation. Qin Yun looked at Luo Shu and asked, Miss Luo Shu, your treasure land won't be attacked, right? My treasure land is deep underground and very difficult to find. Your Majesty the Divine King need not worry, Luo Shu said. Next, they discussed their tactics after entering the human snake treasured land and how to cooperate with each other. After calculating the overall combat power, Qin Yun and them formulated a comprehensive battle plan. After talking for more than half a day, they set off for the human snake treasured land. It is not the entire heavenly law altar that moved over, only the divine inscription mountain moved over. People from all sides entered the divine inscription mountain. This way it would be more convenient. The interior of the divine inscription mountain is very large. Qin Yun divided many areas for them so that they could properly train their formations during this period of time. Qin Yun alone inside the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. He released a spatial sound transmission array. Xiao Yun, being the All-Heavens Dragon Emperor is truly not easy. Long Shu's grumbling voice can be heard. She brought Long Qiaofeng and others to unify the All-Heavens Dragon race, and the progress was rather smooth. Only a few powerful dragon race who obtained fortuitous encounters and their strength increased sharply did not pledge allegiance. Most of the other dragon race patriarchs recognized Long Shu as the new All-Heavens Dragon Emperor. My beautiful sister Dragon Emperor, you just have to get used to it in the future, Qin Yun said with smile. Now lead the strongest dragon race army to the human snake treasured land and ask the human snake race if they are willing to join the All-Heavens Dragon race family. Chapter 3205. Qin Yun has two plans to deal with the serpent race. The first is to have the All-Heavens Dragon race subdue them. The serpent race has both human and serpent characteristics. Their ultimate goal is to evolve into dragons. The All-Heavens Dragon race was destroyed by the great Luo Empire before, but now they have re-established themselves. Moreover, they have several treasure lands as their base. The All-Heavens Dragon race has caused a lot of commotion recently. All kinds of things have become famous on the Devil Mirror. Qin Yun has been in contact with Long Shu and the others, so he is very familiar with the All-Heavens Dragon race's recent movements. The re-established All-Heavens Dragon race is even stronger than before, but compared to the Taisher factions and the four great empires, it is still very weak. However, at least the All-Heavens Dragon race now has the power to protect themselves. They will not be easily exterminated like before. The new All-Heavens Dragon Emperor is not a purebred dragon. Long Shu, a tree dragon, becoming the new Dragon Emperor will make more variant dragons and half-dragons acknowledge her. The reason why most purebred dragons acknowledge Long Shu is because she was born from the dragon bloodline Heavenly Pattern Bach. Back then, she was the All-Heavens Dragon Emperor's right-hand man. Of course, the most important thing is that Long Shu is very powerful now. Not only her, Long Qiaofeng, Long Yuqing and Long Tianji are also very powerful. They all entered the Treasure Lands Lake and were evolved by Qin Yun through the Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Bach. Their Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern power is very powerful, making the other dragon race leaders very envious. Therefore, Long Shu and the others can convince the other dragon race leaders and promise them that they will also have Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box in the future. Currently, only a few very powerful dragon race and the 9-sun Holy Lands dragon race have not joined the All-Heavens Dragon race. These were powerful dragon clans inside and outside the 9-sun sacred ground, but they were powerful clans that had appeared along with the treasure land. They were not the dragon clans that had grown up after many years of cultivation. Although they have not joined, the All-Heavens Dragon race's overall strength is still very good. Long Shu and the others have been consolidating the All-Heavens Dragon race's power and making all kinds of arrangements. Therefore, she has been complaining to Qin Yun all day long that she is very tired. The serpent race wants to transform into dragons very much, and Qin Yun has the Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box, so he can easily help them transform into dragons. It was just that he didn't know what was going on with the snake tribe. Therefore, he had a second plan, which was to avoid the worst-case scenario. If the serpent race refused to budge, they would have no choice but to attack them by force. 5 days later, the divine mountain of inscription arrived in the sky above a large mountain near the human snake treasure land and hid in the air. Long Tianji had arrived a long time ago, but the dragon race army led by Long Shu had not arrived yet. Long Tianji arrived early and has already entered the human snake treasured land. She has obtained many useful information. Qin Yun secretly met with Long Tianji inside Divine Mountain. At this moment, Long Tianji was also one of the higher-ups of the All Heavens Dragon clan. Although she had learned charm techniques from Shui Tianzi, her temperament had changed greatly after becoming one of the higher-ups of the Dragon clan. She was gorgeous and charming. Her charming eyes flickered and emitted traces of domineeringness. In front of Qin Yun, she appeared extremely gentle and charming. Having not seen Qin Yun for many days, now that they were alone, she took the initiative to hug Qin Yun. The two of them had a deep kiss. "Master," Long Tianji said in low voice. "Heavenly concubine, there's no need to call me that." Qin Yun chuckled. "Yunlang." Long Tianji leaned on Qin Yun's body and softly muttered. "Have you been very tired recently? You have worked hard." Qin Yun hugged Long Tianji and gently caressed her face. Long Tianji's feelings for Qin Yun are rather extreme. First of all, Qin Yun is her master. Moreover, she has followed Qin Yun for most of her life. Her current strength and ability to reach this point are all bestowed upon her by Qin Yun. Therefore, she is willing to do anything for Qin Yun, she can even die for him. Not tired at all," Long Tianji said with smile. "Yunlang, I used to be a small poison dragon spider, but now I have become one of the elders of the All Heavens dragon race. No matter how bitter or tiring it is all worth it." Qin Yun held her lily-white hand and asked, "Heavenly concubine, you entered the human snake treasured land and inquired about some important matters? I am one of the elders of the All Heavens dragon race. They are very respectful to me. The one who received me was also an elder of the human snake race. Their patriarch did not show himself." Long Tianji sat on Qin Yun's thigh and leaned on him. She said, "I also did not see Great Luo's crown prince's people. They looked very calm on the surface, but their elders hinted to me that they are not in control of themselves." "Then did you tell them to join the All Heavens Dragon clan?" Qin Yun asked. "Those elders expressed that they can't make the decision, only their patriarch can make the decision. But because of some reasons, their patriarch can't show himself for the time being." Long Tianji said, "It is very likely that their patriarch is being controlled. The human snake race's patriarch wants to borrow their patriarch's power to control the human snake race." Qin Yun said with frown, "It seems like if we want to deal with the human snake race, the crux lies in their patriarch." Long Tianji said, "Yunlang, the human snake race has great potential. As long as you help them a bit, they will surely transform into dragons. Moreover, they also have a super treasure land. There is a primordial era's historical site underground. It will be a great harvest for the human snake race to join the All Heavens dragon race. Tianji, you must be very careful during this period of time. Now that the All Heavens dragon race has successfully reformed, it will surely attract the attention of Great Luo's crown prince." Qin Yun warned. "I know." Long Tianji kissed Qin Yun's lips and said, "Yunlang, I will now go to the human snake treasure land to investigate." "No, you don't need to go." Qin Yun promptly pulled her hand and said, "I have an even more important matter for you to do. Go to the All Heavens Divine Moon and bring this object to the Divine Moon's little magical spirit." Qin Yun took out a round crystal ball. Inside the crystal ball there is a heavenly rune character. This heavenly rune character is something old brother Taisher has just comprehended. Moreover, He comprehended it through the moon bloodline heavenly runebook. Old Brother Taisher only told Qin Yun to quickly bring this heavenly rune character to the divine moon's little magical spirit. It will be very helpful to them. First go find Sister Shang Yun, let her take you there. Qin Yun said again. Yes. Long Tianji nodded and said. Long Tianji immediately left and went to the Guanghan Palace through the Divine Rune Mountains teleportation formation. Qin Yun found the Dragon Turtle Clan leader. Dragon Turtle Clan leader, is your Dragon Turtle Clan interested in joining the All Heavens Dragon race? Qin Yun said with smile. The Dragon Turtle Clan is one of the few dragon races outside of Nine Sun Sacred Ground that did not join the All Heavens Dragon race. Your Excellency Divine King, the unification of the All Heavens Dragon race is indeed related to you. The Dragon Turtle Clan leader said with clear smile. Originally, our Dragon Turtle Clan only wanted to be a good tortoise and live a peaceful life, but the environment did not allow us to do so. The unification of the All Heavens Dragon race is related to me, but we only have a mutually beneficial relationship. Moreover, I will also provide great assistance to the All Heavens Dragon race, so that they can grow up and fight against the dragon race inside Nine Sun Sacred Ground. Qin Yun said. Chapter 3206. The Dragon Turtle race is a half-dragon race among the strong races. They are very powerful. Although they are a race outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, they are not weaker than the dragon race inside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. Outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, there are 4 strong dragon races that refuse to join the All Heavens Dragon race. They are all half-dragon races. The Dragon Turtle race is one of them, and it is also the strongest. Qin Yun wants to use the Dragon Turtle race to create a breakthrough. As long as the Dragon Turtle race joins the All Heavens Dragon race, the other 3 strong dragon races will start to waver. Your Excellency, do you know why our Dragon Turtle race is unwilling to join the All Heavens Dragon race? The Dragon Turtle race leader asked. Qin Yun stared at the old man's kind eyes filled with wisdom and then shook his head. Because our Dragon Turtle race wants to follow your Excellency. That's why we never thought of joining the All Heavens Dragon race, even if the All Heavens Dragon Empress is your Excellency's woman. The Dragon Turtle race leader really knows everything. Long Shu being Qin Yun's woman is a secret. Qin Yun is very surprised. He was very puzzled before, why the powerful Dragon Turtle race was willing to cooperate with the 9 Dragon Kingdom and even let them enter the Dragon Turtle Treasure Land. So it is because of Qin Yun, the Divine King. In the All Heavens Divine Desolate, there are still a small number of strong races that acknowledge you. Especially during this period of time, the power your Excellency has displayed has made us, the Divine King faction, acknowledge you even more. The Dragon Turtle race leader's eyes suddenly became very deep. He sighed and said, however, most of the strong races do not wish for order to suppress them. They all know that the Divine King of the All Heavens Divine Desolate is the order of the All Heavens Divine Desolate. Those who defy him will face very serious consequences. Qin Yun also sank into deep thought. He always thought that he could not obtain the recognition of many strong races because he was not strong enough, because he was too weak. He was too insignificant when facing the empires and Taisher factions. He was powerless to protect the strong races, so most of the strong races did not acknowledge him. But now, the Dragon Turtle race leader said that the main reason why they do not acknowledge him is because they do not wish for order to exist. The All Heavens Divine Desolate Great Era has begun. It is filled with all kinds of changes. As the strongest races of this land, they have treasured lands with powerful defenses. They hope that they can be unfettered, that no one can suppress them. The divine wasteland needs order. Without order, this land will descend into chaos, into endless slaughter and war. In the end, the apocalypse will descend, erasing us and starting all over again. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. Qin Yun naturally knew about the Nine Suns world annihilation. He had experienced it many times. Those powerful races had never experienced it, so they naturally did not know the will of the Nine Suns world annihilation. Dragon Turtle Patriarch, I still hope that you can publicly announce that you have joined the All Heavens Dragon Tribe. Qin Yun said, You are a big family. With you joining, this new dragon race will become even more solid. The addition of the Dragon Turtle Tribe would definitely make the hearts of the All Heavens Dragon Tribe more stable. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, No problem, but we have a condition. The All Heavens Dragon Tribe must not allow the Dragon Tribe in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground to join. We will never recognize the Dragon Tribe in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. Why? I don't know much about the dragon race in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. Please enlighten me, Dragon Turtle Patriarch. Qin Yun asked. There are many dragon tribes in the Divine Desolate. There are mutated variant dragon race with dragon bloodline and beast bloodline. There are also half-dragon beasts like us who are a combination of beast and dragon. There are also half-dragon people who are a combination of dragon and dragon. But in the end, the dragon bloodline in our bodies is of the same origin, and it has not been polluted by other dragon bloodline. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch's expression suddenly became very solemn. Qin Yun took out the Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box. The Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box he mentioned came from this box. The dragon race in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, their dragon bloodline has been polluted? Or has it been evil, devil? Qin Yun asked. Their dragon bloodline has been polluted by the barbarian race. Originally, there were many dragon races in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, but now they have unified. They call themselves the Sovereign Dragon Race. In order to become stronger, they introduced the barbarian race's bloodline into their bodies. Qin Yun's expression changed. He has seen the barbarian race before. They are indeed very powerful. Moreover, there are also humans among the barbarian race, but they are unable to communicate. Moreover, their consciousness is filled with slaughter and brutality. Their bloodline has always been like this. Are the barbarian race really that terrifying? I have seen many Taisher factions enslaving a large number of barbarian race. Qin Yun said. The barbarian race that are enslaved are very weak. There are very few truly powerful barbarian race, and the sovereign dragon race has introduced the strongest barbarian race's bloodline. Therefore, we absolutely cannot let the sovereign dragon race join the heavenly dragon race family. They will pollute the pure dragon bloodline. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, The barbarian race's bloodline is very unstable. You will know when you meet the sovereign dragon race in the future. Qin Yun nodded and said, I will tell Long Shu to pay attention to this matter. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said again, Your Excellency Divine King, the Taisher factions in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground are also researching the barbarian race's bloodline. It is very likely that they will use the barbarian race's bloodline to breed an even more powerful human race. Once the barbarian race's bloodline spreads outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, it will be very troublesome. I understand. I will take precautions. When Qin Yun thought of this matter, he realized that if he doesn't take precautions, once the heavenly divine desolate's life forms reproduce for a few generations, the barbarian race's bloodline will become unstable and it will be very easy for the Taisher factions and the empires to use it to carry out all kinds of destruction. I will talk to the snake human race. I will go and invite them to join the heavenly dragon race together. Moreover, I will use the excuse of meeting their patriarch to create some commotion and divert their attention. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, Your Excellency Divine King, when the time comes, I will have to trouble you to secretly act and find the snake human race patriarch and figure out his current situation. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch has also researched Qin Yun very deeply. He knows that Qin Yun's stealth ability is very strong. He also knows that Qin Yun's mental power is not weak. He will definitely be able to accomplish this matter very beautifully. Alright, but Dragon Turtle Patriarch, you all still have to be careful, Qin Yun warned. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Our Dragon Turtle race's strongest point is our defense. We are unkillable tortoises. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch laughed loudly and said. At daybreak, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch led the Dragon Turtle race's group. A total of more than 1,000 people majestically flew towards the human snake treasure land. The Dragon Turtle race is one of the strongest races outside the Nine Sun sacred ground, and its reputation is not small. Most of the powerful races are very respectful when they see the Dragon Turtle race. Now that the Dragon Turtle Patriarch has personally taken action, it is naturally very easy for him to enter the human snake treasure land. Qin Yun mixed in with the Dragon Turtle races group. He held a piece of paper in his hand. On it is the news from the Phoenix Kingdom. The people attacking the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land are actually the army of the Great Luo Empire and the Taisher faction Wang Tiange. What shocked Qin Yun the most is that this is not the handiwork of the Great Luo Crown Prince, but a woman called Luo Shuang. Chapter 3207. The secret letter from the Phoenix Queen said that the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground was facing a lot of pressure, and she was unable to go to battle to support Strange Cat King. As a result, after Qin Yun seized the primordial ancient ruins, he would lack the strength of the Phoenix Kingdom when he went to support the Strange Cat King. Luo Shuang, who had attacked the Vermilion Bird Paradise, was one of the Celestial Emperor's daughters. She was powerful and had cultivated in a Taisher faction since she was young. Luo Shu was originally a princess of the Daluo Empire. Now that she had been defeated by the Daluo Crown Prince, she had left the core of the Daluo Empire and would never be able to return to the center of power in the Daluo Empire. The Celestial Emperor didn't want the Crown Prince to get carried away, so he released a powerful daughter to fight the Crown Prince. Furthermore, the Daluo Empire needed a powerful princess. She was the face of the empire, and would be able to intimidate the various big shots within the empire. The other three empires did not dare to underestimate them. The Phoenix Queen was one of the daughters of the Celestial Emperor of Exalted Luo. She controlled a powerful kingdom, and her days were much more comfortable than those of the other princes and princesses. When Luo Shuang found out about this, the first thing she did was to attack the Vermilion Bird sacred ground. She wanted to show the Phoenix Queen that she, Luo Shuang, was the most outstanding daughter of the Celestial Emperor of Daluo. As Qin Yun walked, he explained the situation of the Vermilion Bird treasured land to the Dragon Turtle Patriarch. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch told Qin Yun not to worry. As long as they took down the snake-human race, it would be very easy to seize the primordial prime ruin of the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo. They would not need to suffer any major losses to take it. When the time came, everyone would go to the exotic cat kingdom together to provide support. It would be fine even if the Phoenix Queen did not come. The Patriarch of the Dragon Turtle race was indeed very influential. The Patriarch of the Serpent race immediately let them in and even welcomed them warmly. The Man-Snake treasured land was mainly made up of forests, and their residential areas were all holes dug out from some giant trees. After more than 1,000 people from the Dragon Turtle race entered, they saw many human snakes along the way. Although they were human snakes, they looked no different from humans. Only when they entered their strongest state would they turn into human snake. The people and snakes on the way were all very respectful when they saw the people of the Dragon Turtle race. This was because the dragon aura from the Dragon Turtle gave them a lot of pressure. After entering, Qin Yun stealthily left in stealth mode. He acted alone. Only the elders of the Serpent tribe knew about the tribe leader's situation. The other serpents seemed to be normal. The human snake treasured land was indeed very large. If one wanted to fly through it, it would take more than half a day. Moreover, there were huge trees everywhere that formed a dense forest. It was not easy for Qin Yun to find the Serpent Patriarch. He could only open his heavenly eye and use the luck viewing art. The luck viewing spell allowed him to see the terrain and the luck of living beings. The prerequisite was that Qin Yun's psyche powers were sufficiently strong. For example, looking at the terrain, his mental energy had to be able to cover the entire area. As for how much mental energy he needed, it was hard to say. In order to judge a person, one had to have a higher mental energy than others. He did not release the heavenly eye into the sky. If he used the heavenly eye avatar to cover multiple regions, he would indeed be able to find it quickly. However, this would definitely alarm the Crown Prince of Origin Luo. Some of the Crown Prince's men were definitely in the human snake treasure ground. According to Luo Yaya's Shadow Pavilion's investigation, the Crown Prince's main forces were outside the Serpent Race's treasure ground. He did not want to agitate the entire Serpent Race. After all, the human snake treasure ground was a super treasure ground. If the serpents really went berserk, the Crown Prince of Origin Luo could forget about steadily controlling the entire treasure ground. Qin Yun could only investigate one region at a time. Every once in a while, he would use a small-scale spatial voice transmission array to contact the Dragon Turtle Patriarch. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch requested to meet the Serpent Patriarch. However, the elders were very reserved, saying that the Patriarch was in seclusion and it was not convenient for him to come out. The Serpent Race's elders seemed to feel threatened and did not dare say a word. Qin Yun hid behind him as he floated high in the sky. He constantly expended his psyche powers to open his heavenly eye and use the luck viewing art to survey the entire central region of the human snake treasure ground. Beneath him was a lush forest of gigantic trees that were hundreds and thousands of meters tall. The energy they emitted was a lush green. He could only see it with his heavenly eye. The primordial ancient ruin is underground. Could the Crown Prince of Origin Luo and the Serpent Patriarch be underground as well? Qin Yun spent an entire day searching but found nothing. He could only use another method. This method was risky and might attract the Crown Prince of Origin Luo's attention. However, he had no other choice. He had to quickly find the Serpent Patriarch and let the Serpent Race regain control of the human snake treasure ground. He landed in the forest, then entered one of the big trees that had no one around and entered the trunk. Inside the tree trunk, he released his dragon tree totem and let the dragon tree totem communicate with all the trees in the treasure land through this tree. Through the consciousness of the trees, he searched for clues from within. He had learned this move a long time ago, but it was not very useful in the end. The main reason was that the tree totem in his body was not strong enough. Later on, he often cultivated with Long Shu, the tree dragon, so his dragon tree totem had become much stronger. Now it was relatively easy to use. However, it required a large amount of psyche power. His psyche power would leak out. If the Crown Prince of Origin Luo sensed something amiss, he would alert them. Therefore, there was a certain risk. Qin Yun's ideal situation was to let the Serpent Race escape the Crown Prince's control. Then, the Dragon Turtle Race and the All Heavens Dragon Race would intervene. Luo Shu, the 9 Dragon Kings and the Phoenix Warriors would mix in and help the Serpent Race repel the Crown Prince's army. This way, the Serpent Race would naturally join the All Heavens Dragon Race, and the underground primordial ancient ruins would be developed together. Qin Yun's psyche power is being consumed very quickly. Fortunately, he has a large amount of Divine Universe Goldstones and can recover quickly through the Divine King Heavenly Seal. After half a day, he finally found traces of the Serpent Patriarch. Sure enough, he went underground. The entrance to the underground was an unremarkable tree. Furthermore, it was not in the central region of the Serpent Race. It was in a small forest just outside the central region. Qin Yun read the vague memories from the forest and learned that the Serpent Patriarch was brought down by a large group of people. It should be the Crown Prince of Origin Luo and his entourage. There were several thousand of them. After discovering this, Qin Yun immediately contacted the Dragon Turtle Race Patriarch and told him that he was going out. The Dragon Turtle Race Patriarch arranged for someone to bring Qin Yun out. Qin Yun wanted to bring the entire Divine Inscription Mountain with him and place it inside the 9-Sun Divine Soul. The Dragon Turtle Race Patriarch then arranged for people to bring Qin Yun in. The Serpent Race did not say anything as they went in and out of the Dragon Turtle Race. Dragon Turtle Race Patriarch, I am preparing to enter the underground and fight the Crown Prince of Origin Luo. Outside the Serpent Race Patriarch, there is still the Crown Prince's army. When the time comes, I will leave it to you. Qin Yun said. The All Heavens Dragon Race army led by Long Shu is already on the way. Fighting the Crown Prince's army is what they desire the most. Mobile users, please visit Chapter 3208. Although Qin Yun had never met the Crown Prince, Luo Shu and Luo Yea were very familiar with him. They had been at odds with him for many years. Luo Shu had a deep understanding of the Crown Prince, but there were still some blind spots. For example, the relationship between the Crown Prince and the Taisher factions. Qin Yun learned from Luo Shu and Luo Yea that the Crown Prince had many capable people around him. Furthermore, they were all very loyal to him. However, this loyalty was only obtained by the Crown Prince through a soul contract. The Crown Prince was cruel and scheming. He was very cruel to his subordinates, and they were all very afraid of him. As they were bound by the soul contract, they could not resist and could only endure it. According to Luo Shu and Luo Yea, Lu Yi was a very capable subordinate of the Crown Prince. However, he had been sent by the Crown Prince to self-destruct in order to kill Qin Yun. From this, it was obvious that the Crown Prince did not value the lives of his subordinates. If he could sacrifice his subordinates in exchange for sufficient benefits, the Crown Prince would not hesitate to do so. He might even gamble with his subordinates' lives. Qin Yun came to a forest in the human snake treasured ground and approached the tree that led deep into the ground. The serpent race must have long discovered the primordial ancient ruins beneath their treasured ground. That was why they created such a passageway. The tree was 200 meters tall and very thick. It was considered a medium-sized tree in the human snake treasured ground. As Qin Yun approached, he sensed that there were hundreds of people hiding nearby. Furthermore, they were all very strong, with a maximum divine cosmic power of at least 350,000. These guys are not from the serpent race. They are the Crown Prince's men. There are hundreds of them hiding and guarding the entrance. If anyone approaches, they will be killed without mercy. Qin Yun hid behind them and carefully probed the surroundings. There did not seem to be a single person. The Crown Prince's men were all very well hidden. I can't enter from that entrance. I will definitely be discovered. Qin Yun carefully observed the tree and discovered that there were at least 300 people hidden within it. There were a few hundred around it. There were more than 300 people in the tree, and all of them had a maximum divine cosmic power of more than 300,000. Qin Yun wanted to enter the ground silently and rescue the Serpent Patriarch. Then, he would fight the Crown Prince underground and force him out of the primordial ancient ruins and the human snake treasured ground. The human snake treasured land's geology was very sturdy. It was very difficult to dig a huge passage down, and it was impossible to do so in a short period of time. As for Qin Yun, he was able to quickly pass through the soil and rocks to reach the bottom by using his penetration divine ability. However, it would consume a lot of energy. Qin Yun was now at the 8th level of the divine space realm. The upper limit of his divine space force was 240,000. He could make his divine space force erupt 4 times outside his body. His total divine space force was close to 1,000,000. This was an extremely terrifying, explosive power. Coupled with his divine weapon, those peak 9th level divine space realm experts would be instantly killed if they were the slightest bit careless. Now, when Qin Yun uses the mysterious penetration divine ability, he consumes 10,000 divine cosmos power with every breath. He can use the Divine King Heavenly Seal to replenish it. If not, even if he could use the mysterious penetration divine ability, he would not be able to maintain it for long. He quickly went several tens of thousands of meters underground, and after spending more than 2 million divine universe energy, he finally arrived at the primordial ancient site. In the depths of the human snake treasured land, there was a very empty area that could accommodate a city. Qin Yun went underground and entered the spacious area. He saw an ancient city emitting a faint golden light. This should be the primordial ancient site. Qin Yun floated at the edge of the spacious area. He took out the divine mirror of primordial beginning to illuminate the ancient city, so that Brother Primordial Beginning could take a look. The entire city floated in the spacious underground area. Outside the city gate was a plaza. There were thousands of people outside the plaza. They were sitting cross-legged on the ground with their eyes closed. They were releasing their mental power. In front of them, there was a huge power-storing crystal ball used to store mental power. They needed to inject large amounts of mental power into the crystal ball and then explode their mental power through the crystal ball to open the city gate. The fact that the great Luo Crown Prince and the others could not open the gate meant that the gate could not be blasted open with brute force. It required large amounts of mental power. And beside the huge crystal ball, there was a small altar. On the altar lay a robust middle-aged serpent. From time to time, he would let out angry roars. Clearly, this middle-aged serpent was the serpent race leader. He had been used as a sacrifice. You bastards will never be able to enter the holy city. You are filthy and despicable creatures. You are not worthy of entering the holy city. The serpent race leader shouted angrily. Serpent race leader, why don't I capture your son and sacrifice him first? The person who spoke was an elder. Qin Yun was searching for traces of the great Luo Crown Prince, but he did not seem to be here. This made him secretly alarmed. The great Luo Crown Prince did not come personally. He thought that he could settle things with him here. Although the great Luo Crown Prince did not come, the people here were definitely his capable subordinates or experts from a Taisher faction. When their power-storing balls are filled with mental power, you can destroy them. When that happens, you can save the serpent race leader, said Brother Primordial Beginning. Qin Yun had his own plans. He first carefully left the spacious underground area. Then, he took out a small spatial voice transmission array and contacted the Dragon Turtle Race Leader. Dragon Turtle Race Leader, the great Luo Crown Prince does not seem to be in the primordial ancient ruins, said Qin Yun with a voice transmission. Then it's very likely that he's on the surface. This guy sure is vigilant. Your Excellency, you must be careful down there. Leave the surface to us, the All Heavens Dragon Race, said the Dragon Turtle Race Leader. Soon after, Qin Yun contacted Long Shu and told her to pay more attention to the surface because the great Luo Crown Prince might be on the surface. The great Luo Crown Prince exterminated the All Heavens Dragon Race once, and the great Luo Empire's army is outside the human snake treasured land. The great Luo Crown Prince must have received news that the great Luo Empire's army has arrived at the human snake treasured land. With the Dragon Turtle Race Leader on the surface, Qin Yun felt a lot more at ease. The Divine Rune Mountain he brought down has a total of 150,000 soldiers. There are his Divine King Army, Phoenix Army, Luo Shu Army and 9 Dragon Army. All of them have 5th-generation bloodline heavenly runes. They are more than enough to deal with a few thousand people. Qin Yun returned to the spacious area again. The power-storing ball outside the city gate has become even brighter. The serpent race leader should be able to handle it, right? Qin Yun secretly took out the God King spear that has transformed into a God King cannon. He is preparing to shoot a myriad devouring God arrow. The altar that sealed the serpent race leader is beside the power-storing ball. It is several meters tall and is even bigger than the altar. If the power-storing ball explodes, it will definitely affect the serpent race leader. However, it is only an explosion of mental power. The explosion of mental power is not aimed at any target. It is just a storm of mental power. Those who are affected by it will at most have their souls fiercely attacked. Qin Yun asked An Wukong to follow him. After the attack, he will send An Wukong to seal the space and prevent them from using the magic mirror to communicate with the outside world. Chapter 3209. Although he couldn't see the Crown Prince, he knew the situation here like the back of his hand. There might even be a clone hiding in the crowd. If something happened here, even if the space here was sealed, the Crown Prince would immediately know that something had gone wrong. What Qin Yun needed to do was to let the Crown Prince not know that he was here. Once the crystal ball exploded, a berserk wave of mental energy would rush out. If one didn't protect oneself in time, one's soul would definitely be affected. The souls of doppelgangers were generally weaker, and could not withstand such a powerful spiritual Yuli wave. The Crown Prince would at most know that the crystal ball had suddenly exploded. He wouldn't know that it was Qin Yun's doing. Qin Yun was patiently waiting for the crystal ball to accumulate enough mental energy. Only then would the effect be better. These guys are here to break the door, but the Crown Prince's main body isn't here. This means that the upper echelons of a Taisher faction are here. Qin Yun observed the group of people. He was trying to see if he could tell that they were from a Taisher faction, but he couldn't. The light from the crystal ball was getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, it was trembling slightly and shooting out strong rays of light. It's about time. The hidden Qin Yun had already aimed at the crystal ball and shot a myriad god-devouring arrow. The myriad god-devouring arrow was several meters long. It was placed in the storage space of the God King cannon. When needed, it could be used to shoot a relatively large arrow from the God King cannon. The myriad god-devouring arrow was very fast. As it flew, it frantically devoured the energy around it. It could be said that it absorbed all the energy in the surroundings. The arrow accurately hit the crystal ball and produced a loud explosion. A berserk mental energy wave suddenly rippled out in all directions. It looked like waves of golden light. Everyone at the entrance of the ancient city felt as if their heads were about to split open. Some even fell to the ground as if their souls had dispersed. Those that fell were most likely avatars. The souls of these avatar puppets were too weak. Even if they had methods to protect their souls, they would still be finished against such a powerful mental energy wave. Qin Yun quickly released the inscription Divine Mountain. Luo Shu, Nine Dragon King and Chu Limin appeared with their army and quickly surrounded the few thousand people. Qin Yun brought Monkey King, Ba Tayin and Su Xiaoba to the altar where the Serpent Patriarch is. And Wukong brought dozens of alien race people and quickly set up a formation to seal the space. Nine Dragon King, Luo Shu and Chu Limin did not bring all the warriors out of the Divine Mountain. They only brought 30,000 warriors each. The head of the serpent tribe was screaming in pain. He was sealed on the altar. After Qin Yun went over, he used the divine mirror of primordial beginning to easily break the seal on his body and save him from the altar. Luo Shu, the Nine Dragons King, and the others were also controlling the several thousand people. There were close to 100,000 of them. Surrounding the several thousand people whose souls were being attacked was a piece of cake for them. With Qin Yun's help, the Serpent Patriarch very quickly recovered. The first thing he did after recovering is to take out a large axe and crazily hack at the altar. Only after smashing it into pieces did he stop. Luo Shu, Nine Dragon King and the others are now controlling the few thousand people. They have nearly 100,000 warriors, so it is very easy for them to besiege those few thousand people. "Hello, Serpent Patriarch, I am Qin Yun," Qin Yun said with smile. "I know. The Serpent Patriarch is very easy to talk to. He laughed heartily and said, I knew that your Majesty Divine King would come to save me. Everyone says that Divine King is a coward, but I never thought so. Qin Yun only laughed and said, Serpent Patriarch, this is General Chu Limin, she is representing Phoenix Kingdom. This is His Majesty Nine Dragon King of Nine Dragon Kingdom. He did not introduce Luo Shu because she doesn't want to expose herself. Many thanks everyone, many thanks everyone. The Serpent Patriarch can see that these 100,000 warriors are very powerful. Their bloodline heavenly runes are also very strong. With so many powerful warriors, the Serpent race doesn't need to fear the Crown Prince anymore. Oh, that's right, Dragon Turtle Patriarch is also here. He is still up there. Qin Yun said again. Then I am even more relieved. Thank you all very much. The Serpent Patriarch changed into a set of clean clothes and walked towards the several thousand people of the Crown Prince. Serpent Patriarch, among these people, who are the Crown Prince's subordinates? Chu Limin asked. They are not the Crown Prince's subordinates. They are all from a Taisher faction. This Taisher ancient site was originally going to be given to the Crown Prince, but after they came here, they discovered that this Taisher ancient site is not simple. So they want to share it with the Crown Prince. The Serpent Patriarch said. As he spoke, he walked over and started beating the old men in a frenzy, ruthlessly beating them up. These people from Taisher faction are gradually regaining their consciousness. When they learned that Qin Yun's people came, they immediately became dumbfounded. How did Qin Yun come in? And he even brought so many powerful warriors with him. So many people want to come in, why is there no movement at all? This Taisher faction's people have naturally heard of Qin Yun. Because not long ago, Great Xian Star suffered greatly at Qin Yun's hands. The arrogant goddess Xian Qingning was even more humiliated by Qin Yun. Without exchanging blows with Qin Yun, they definitely do not know how terrifying Qin Yun is. After the Serpent Patriarch vented his anger, he said, Your Excellency, this Taisher ancient site is very difficult to open and enter. Let me make it clear first, I am willing to share this Taisher ancient site, but you must not use me as a sacrifice. Qin Yun said with a smile, That won't happen. This Taisher ancient site is very large. If we develop it together, it will allow all of us to become stronger. This is a win-win situation. What a joke, without sacrificing the Serpent Patriarch, there is no way to open that door. Qin Yun, we admit that you have some ability, but you know nothing about Taisher ancient site. You should not know how Taisher ancient sites were formed, right? An elder said with a sneer. If you want to enter, then obediently let us go. Then capture the Serpent Patriarch. Only by using his blood as a sacrifice can you open the door. Another elder shouted. Of course, after you let us go, you must first kneel down and apologize to us. The Serpent Patriarch became very angry hearing this. He really wanted to rush over and stomp the old man to death, but he did not go over because he knows that these people are very important. After all, these old men know how to open the ancient city. Qin Yun said to Su Xiaoba beside him, Xiaoba, this guy who made me kneel down is very arrogant. How do you usually deal with this kind of people? Go over and give him a set. Su Xiaoba rubbed his fists, then immediately rushed over and violently beat up the old man. Then he kicked the old man to arrive in front of Qin Yun and forced him to kneel down and kowtow to Qin Yun. You are done for. We are Taisher faction's wise men of virtue and prestige. The old man gritted his teeth and furiously said. But before he could finish speaking, Qin Yun stomped on his head. Mobile users please visit Chapter 32:10. Qin Yun being so ruthless in dealing with these so-called wise men caused many people present to be very surprised. Even Luo Shu and Nine Dragon King thought that Qin Yun would only capture these wise men and would not do anything to them. But now, Qin Yun crippled the old man in 2 or 3 moves, and took out his divine universe. This is completely crippling his cultivation. Of course, this old man once surpassed the 9th level of the divine space realm and cultivated the powerful divine universe heavenly bone. Even without the divine universe in his body, he can still survive. Therefore, after the old man lost his divine universe, he became completely terrified. His body is still very strong. He did not faint even after being beaten up. You are all wise men of virtue, right? Fine, I want to see how much the Taisha powers behind you are willing to pay to redeem you. Qin Yun shouted, Xiaoba, little monkey, take out all the divine universe in their bodies. Qin Yun wants to cripple these wise men from the Taisha powers and see if they are willing to redeem them. This Taisha power is helping the Crown Prince of Great Luo. Moreover, the Crown Prince of Great Luo used words to insult Xiao Yuelon and the others. Qin Yun is not showing any mercy. Su Xiaoba and Monkey King led the Divine King army and very skillfully took out the divine universe in the bodies of the Taisha power people. They want the divine universe in their bodies to be useful so that Qin Yun can refine superpower storing pearl. The human snake clan leader is completely at ease. He was worried that the Taisha power people would successfully trick Qin Yun and then use him as a sacrifice. Qin Yun is now in the most miserable situation. Even if these Taisha power people die, they will not help Qin Yun open the ancient city gate. The Crown Prince of Great Luo is truly treacherous. If he was here, he would definitely fall into my hands. Qin Yun is somewhat unwilling. He has always wanted to capture the Crown Prince of Great Luo and beat him up. He wanted to let the entire Divine Desolate know the consequences of having designs on the 9-Sun Divine Maiden. Without us, you will never be able to enter, an old man from the Taisha power said with a bitter smile. Which Taisha power are you from? Qin Yun grabbed the old man and asked. Tui. The old man laughed sinisterly. Don't even think of getting anything out of my mouth. I won't tell you. Even if you kill me, I won't lower my head to you. They have already been crippled and now they hate Qin Yun very much. Really? Qin Yun has many methods of torturing people. He only used 2 sets on the old man before he couldn't take it anymore and begged for mercy. Everyone present felt their scalps tingle when they saw Qin Yun's torturing methods. No one would be able to endure such torture. The old man was very stubborn just now, but now, even if Qin Yun did not ask him about it, he would still tell him everything. This Taisha faction was called the Supreme Hall. In this universe where the Daluo Empire was located, the 3 Taisha factions were the Imperial Heaven Pavilion, the Supreme Hall, and the 9 Heavens Island. Wang Tiange had an extremely good relationship with the Supreme Palace. The one who tricked the Phoenix Queen and Luo Shu was Wang Tiange. The Crown Prince of Zenith Luo's mother enjoyed an extremely high status in the Hall of Paragon. Therefore, the Hall of Paragon and Wang Tiange would secretly help the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo. The Taisha factions were originally from the Taisha civilization. They had existed for many years and had always wanted to completely control the order of the universe, and they did a very good job. The relationship between the Taisha factions and the Daluo Empire was very close. For example, the Daluo Celestial Emperor's women all came from the Taisha factions. Most of his children grew up in the Taisha factions. The Daluo Celestial Emperor's women fought openly and secretly, so there was a lot of internal strife within the Taisha factions. The Daluo Celestial Emperor also used this method to make the Taisha factions unable to unite, allowing the Daluo Empire to dominate. The main reason why the Daluo Empire could become so powerful was because the person who founded it was truly powerful. Although the Daluo Ancestral Emperor was already dead, his fame still made the 3 Taisha factions fear him. The Taisha ruins had existed before the Taisha civilization flourished. The reason why the Taisha civilization could appear was because of the Taisha ruins. But as the universe's magic spirit was threatened, The ruins were sealed one by one, sealed in divine suns or stars. These divine suns and stars would eventually turn into continents. Most of them were gathered in the divine wilderness, so they were right below it. Even the Taisher factions didn't understand what was going on with the Taisher ruins, because they seemed to be the origin of all civilizations. They were very mysterious. At the peak of the Taisher civilization, they fought against the universe's magic spirit, so both sides suffered heavy losses and the universe's magic spirit was sealed. That was when the Daluo Empire rose, and the Taisher civilization declined. The situation in the other universes was more or less the same. Whether all the Taisher ruins were gathered in the divine wilderness or not was still uncertain. The Taisher factions guessed that although there were many universes' magic spirits, they were all a single entity. In fact, all the magic spirits were a single entity. Their thoughts were interconnected. According to Old Brother Taisher, to understand this matter, one needed to understand a lot of heavenly patterns. Have you entered the other primordial era ruins in the gods desolate? Asked Nine Dragons King. Our supreme palace already has 2 large primordial era ruins in the gods desolate. We've successfully entered. And the one below the Serpent Treasure Land is rather special. We have never seen this type before. What's special about it? Asked the Serpent Clan leader. First of all, it is below a treasure land. It looks like the 9 Sun Law spirit deliberately gave it to your serpent race. Furthermore, although this Taisher ruins are not very big, they seem to be the most luxurious type. The materials used to build them are all the best. Most of the other primordial ruins are cities or large clusters of buildings, while this primordial ruin is like a huge, luxurious palace, said Jianchen. The old man said, "Strange, why is it below the Serpent Treasure Land?" Qin Yun is very puzzled. The Dragon Turtle Treasure Land is also a super treasure land, why is it not here? There is also one below the heaven-opening Ancient Clan's Treasure Land, I wonder what it is like. That is because our serpent race is fated to do so, the Serpent Clan leader said with smile. Your Excellency Divine King, our serpent race is willing to join the dragon race, but we are not dragons. So we ask Your Excellency Divine King to help us transform into dragons. Only then can we join the dragon race legitimately. From the Serpent Clan leader's point of view, the Taisher ruins are too far away from them. He knows that Qin Yun has the dragon bloodline heavenly pattern box and can help their entire race transform into dragons. This is the most practical benefit. According to our Supreme Palace's Palace Master's guess, the master of the Taisher ancient city below the Serpent Treasure Land is a very high-status noble. The old man said again, "Where is Great Luo's crown prince? Is there a way to contact him?" Qin Yun asked. Chapter 32:11. The old man looked around and said, his avatar was originally here, but after it was affected just now, the soul in the avatar has already dissipated. Then what about his true body? Qin Yun only wanted to know if the crown prince's true body had come. I'm afraid he's still in the imperial city of the Daluo Empire. Even we don't know where his true body is. The elder shook his head. Qin Yun knew that the crown prince was a very cautious person, but he never expected him to be this cautious. Not many people knew where his true body was. Actually, sometimes we can't even tell the difference between his avatar and his true body. His mother is an elder of the Hall of Supreme, and he has abundant resources. It's normal for him to have many powerful avatars, the old man said again. Qin Yun then asked about Luo Shuang. Luo Shuang was the new princess of the Daluo Empire, and she was currently leading troops to attack the Vermilion Bird treasured land. The Phoenix Queen had not come this time because of Luo Shuang. These people did not know much about Luo Shuang. After all, it was just gossip, and these few thousand people mainly studied the primordial ruins. They did not know much about Luo Shuang, but they knew of her existence. She was the daughter of a female elder of Wang Tiange. Like the Daluo crown prince, Luo Shuang's mother was a female elder of a Taisha faction. It had to be said that the Daluo celestial emperor was quite capable, to be able to take down a female elder of a Taisha faction. Also, these people from the Hall of Supreme knew that Luo Shuang had attacked the Vermilion Bird treasured land. Furthermore, Wang Tiange had contributed the most, and the Daluo Empire had also contributed a bit symbolically. There were several reasons why Luo Shuang had attacked the Vermilion Bird treasured land. First, she was targeting the Phoenix Queen and the Phoenix Kingdom. The Phoenix Queen was famous, beautiful, and powerful. She was also the queen of a kingdom. Although the princess and the crown prince had high status and were powerful, they were still inferior to the monarch of a powerful kingdom. Luo Shuang, as the new princess, needed a lot of fame. In addition, she knew that the Phoenix Queen was also one of the Daluo Celestial Emperor's daughters. Unlike the other children of the Daluo Celestial Emperor, the Phoenix Queen could be considered to have founded her own sect, establishing a powerful kingdom by herself. The exalted Celestial Emperor had given his children a chance to establish their own kingdoms, but none of them had done so, mainly because they all wanted to inherit the throne. Among the exalted Celestial Emperor's daughters, the Phoenix Queen was one of the most outstanding. Luo Shuang wouldn't allow anyone more outstanding than her to exist. Therefore, even if she couldn't destroy the Phoenix Queen, she had to let the Phoenix Queen know how powerful she was. Wang Tiange supported Luo Shuang because he hoped that she would have a higher position in the empire. He even hoped that she could overthrow the crown prince of origin Luo. Even if she couldn't overthrow the crown prince of origin Luo, she would at least have a place in the empire. The exalted celestial emperor was powerful, but no matter how powerful he would eventually die. Once he did, the struggle for power would intensify. Qin Yun had previously thought of supporting Luo Shu to fight for the throne. However, Luo Shu decided to learn from the Phoenix Queen and establish her own faction. What will happen if Wang Tiange helps Luo Shuang attack the Vermilion Bird treasure land? Qin Yun had previously fought with the Great Profundity Star. With his current strength, he was unable to withstand the Great Profundity Star's full power attack. The Vermilion Bird treasure ground will definitely be breached. Both the Vermilion Bird tribe and the Phoenix Kingdom are too weak against Wang Tiange, the elder said with certainty. The Vermilion Bird treasure ground will fall? The Serpent tribe leader exclaimed. He knew that the Taisha factions were strong, but he didn't know how strong they were. Therefore, he admired Qin Yun for daring to fight the Great Profundity Star and make them suffer. The Serpent tribe was considered a very powerful tribe outside of the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, but they were very afraid of the Vermilion Bird tribe. The Vermilion Bird tribe was the nemesis of the Serpent tribe. Furthermore, the Vermilion Bird tribe was a powerful tribe within the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. It won't fall, but the Vermilion Bird treasure ground's defenses will definitely be breached. We all speculate that Luo Shuang will only deal a heavy blow to the Vermilion Bird treasure ground and the Phoenix Kingdom. She will leave after the battle to avoid being trapped, the elder said. Qin Yun was somewhat worried about the Phoenix Queen. Qin Yun is somewhat worried about Phoenix Queen. He had previously asked if she needed any reinforcements, but Phoenix Queen said that there was no need. It wasn't just Qin Yun. Luo Shu, the Nine Dragon King, the Serpent tribe leader, Chu Limin, and Luo Yao were also very curious about the Taisha factions. The Supreme Palace and Wang Tiange were the backing of the Crown Prince of Daluo and Luo Shuang respectively. As for the Nine Heavens Island, it was relatively low-key and mysterious. Even the people of the Supreme Palace didn't know much about the Nine Heavens Island. They only knew that one of the daughters of the Nine Heavens Island Lord was the Daluo Celestial Emperor's woman. As for the Taisha factions of the other universes, the people of the Supreme Palace also didn't know much about them. They didn't even know their names. They only knew that the empires of the four great universes had frequent exchanges with the upper echelons of the Taisher factions. Qin Yun turned to look at the mysterious primordial ancient city in front of him. He learned from the people of the Supreme Palace that there weren't many inheritances in the primordial ancient ruins, and there were many artifacts from the primordial civilization. And the most powerful inheritances were the heavenly rune characters and heavenly rune divine medicine. In some primordial ancient ruins there were sleeping primordial ancient beasts, which were also very powerful existences. The living beings of the primordial civilization were limited to the 9th level of the divine space realm, but later on they broke through the limit. Even the universe law spirits couldn't restrict them. The primordial ancient ruins had such inheritances that could break through the limit. Of course, if they broke through the limit again, it would be a new cultivation realm. Therefore, the primordial ancient ruins were extremely important to the empires and the primordial powers. Sir Divine King, you can't open that door. Even if we use all our strength, we might not be able to open it. We've already tried many times before. The old man from the Supreme Palace sighed and said, "We haven't tried sacrificing the Serpent Patriarch yet. This primordial ancient ruins seems to have been handed over to them by the 9 Yang law spirits to guard. The Serpent Patriarch is a breakthrough point." The Serpent Patriarch immediately flew into a rage and shouted angrily, "Old bastard, so using me as a sacrifice was just a test. You don't even have absolute confidence, yet you want to use your father's life to try? Sir Divine King, we are willing to cooperate with you to open this door. We only ask that you let us live." The old man knelt on the ground and said in a very humble manner, "I've said it before, I'll get the Supreme Palace to redeem you. Let's see what price they can pay." Qin Yun smiled and threw out the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Divine King Heavenly Seal suddenly became very big. It is like a small hill. The seal's head is Qin Yun's statue. It is shining with golden light, as if it was carved out of a golden crystal. It is luxurious and filled with a disdainful aura. Qin Yun used the Imperial Heaven Divine technique to control the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Imperial Heaven might spread in all directions, causing everyone present to feel as if a powerful law spirit has descended. He released the Divine King Heavenly Seal and erupted with a pressure similar to that of a law spirit, causing everyone present to feel fear. Chapter 32:12. Qin Yun rarely used the Imperial Heaven Heart to activate the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Imperial Heaven Divine power released by the Imperial Heaven Heart is very special. Although it is not particularly powerful, the power is very shocking. Inside the Divine King Heavenly Seal is Brother Taisher. This is a relatively weak Dharma spirit. However, even the smallest Dharma spirit gives people great pressure. Especially now, everyone's cultivation is limited to the 9th level of the divine space realm. Facing the Dharma spirit, they are even weaker. Those who are familiar with Qin Yun know that the Divine King Heavenly Seal in his hands is very terrifying. It is not that they did not have the thought of snatching the Divine King Heavenly Seal. However, after understanding that the Divine King Heavenly Seal was born with Qin Yun, they gave up on this idea. It can be said that without Qin Yun, there would be no Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Divine King Heavenly Seal is connected to Qin Yun's soul. No one can control this Heavenly Seal. Even if it falls into someone else's hands, it would only be trash. On the plaza in front of the primordial ancient city's gate, thousands of people from Supreme Palace are trembling. They have lost the divine universe in their bodies, so they are even more powerless to resist the pressure from the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The group of wise people from Supreme Palace now know that Qin Yun's Divine King Heavenly Seal is not simple. This kind of divine object is something even Taisher powers cannot create. In their eyes, the Divine King Heavenly Seal is just an object. but in Qin Yun's eyes it is a friend, a trustworthy partner. Brother Taisher, you'll definitely be able to open this door, Qin Yun said in his heart. Absolutely. Brother Taisher can now sense the primordial ancient city even more clearly. He is sure that he can open it. Qin Yun did not ask him how he can open it. He only gently waved his hand and let the Divine King Heavenly Seal fly over. The Divine King Heavenly Seal did not directly attack the gate. Instead, it flew above the ancient city. The surface of the seal constantly burst out with intense light. Those are the runes formed from energy. These runes are very mysterious. They are formed by intense light. After the light penetrated the ancient city's barrier, they carved runes on many places in the ancient city. Everyone exclaimed in their hearts, especially the wise people from Supreme Palace. They never expected that this divine king would grasp such a method to easily unseal the primordial ancient ruins. Nine Dragon King, Serpent Patriarch and Luo Shu felt even more that this divine king is very important in the divine desolate. Even without 9 Yang Dharma spirits' help, he still holds great power. The Serpent tribe's leader was finally relieved that he wouldn't have to become a sacrifice. Not long after, the Divine King Heavenly Seal flew back, shrunk and landed in Qin Yun's hand. You can open the door now, Old Brother Taisher said. Under the escort of Su Xiaoba and Monkey King, Qin Yun walked towards the dazzling and golden city gate. He used the small Divine King Heavenly Seal in his hand to stamp the city gate. Bang! A loud sound came from the city gate, and then the vast underground area seemed to tremble. Waves of intense fluctuations rippled throughout the ancient city. The originally golden ancient city was suddenly filled with cold air. White cold air gushed out from the ancient city. This deep underground spacious area was very large, and it was pitch black in all directions. The ancient city was suspended in the air above this dark and spacious area. But now, the surroundings suddenly flashed with white light. The dark area turned white. More accurately speaking, the darkness was sealed by the incomparably cold power of ice, causing everyone to see a white ice wall in the distance. At this moment, the ancient city had become a frozen city. The gate opened, cold air still surged out violently. Supreme Palace's wise experts are now gathered together. They are protected by the barrier released by 9 Dragon King and the others, otherwise they would have turned into ice cubes. This underground area is like an underground ice world. The top, the ground and the walls are all covered with ice. It's primordial ancient beast, star-swallowing ice python. A Supreme Palace old man's voice is filled with fear as he let out a miserable shriek. We are done for, we are done for. This kind of coldness caused even berserk experts like Su Xiaoba and Monkey King to shiver from the cold. Their bodies are covered with frost. Qin Yun is holding the Divine King Heavenly Seal. He let out a bloodline heavenly rune flame into his body to drive away the cold. How strong is this guy? Qin Yun immediately grabbed Monkey King and Su Xiaoba and returned to the plaza. Then he waved his hand and released 9 huge dragon altars. At the same time, he let the divine inscription mountain set up the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation in the middle. Even though more than 100,000 soldiers released divine cosmos power to resist the bitter cold, their bodies are still covered in ice and frost. Even Luo Shu, 9 Dragon King, Chu Limin and other experts' eyebrows are already covered in frost. That kind of ice cold was truly terrifying. Because just now, everyone had felt a terrifying cold force seep into their divine cosmos. If it weren't for everyone erupting with their divine cosmos force at the same time to resist that cold force, the majority of the square would have already turned into ice. However, even if they resisted together, they would not be able to hold on for long. This kind of cold is truly dreadful. Moreover, it is unceasingly invading their divine cosmos. Qin Yun set up the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin formation and took out the Bloodline Heavenly Rune box to draw out the Bloodline Heavenly Rune flame. Only then did everyone feel a trace of warmth. Supreme Palace's wise experts, who were almost frozen into ice, are incomparably shocked. The formation Qin Yun casually released actually has such power. More than 100,000 soldiers and big shots once again felt the formidable hidden power of the Divine King. Just this formation alone is not easy to break in Divine Desolate. Sir Divine King, we should quickly run. This primordial ancient ruin is a great vicious ancient ruin. An old man from Supreme Palace said, with such a powerful ancient beast guarding it, even my Supreme Palace would have to abandon it. Any primordial power would have to pay a great price to suppress such a great vicious ancient ruin. The star-swallowing ice python turned into a huge pillar of white energy and shot out from the center of the ancient city into the sky. It wants to directly attack the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin formation. Yang Yang, I'll leave it to you. Qin Yun immediately released Yang Yang. The moment the ninth heaven vermilion bird appeared, the world of ice and snow immediately surged with heat wave. After Yang Yang came out, she directly turned into the ninth heaven vermilion bird. This beautiful and tyrannical divine bird has long since transformed into an extremely powerful divine bird. Everyone who was shivering from the cold just now, in the blink of an eye, they are sweating all over from the heat. It is simply a world of ice and fire. Qin Yun originally wanted to warn Yang Yang a few more times, but this little girl is now extremely excited. After seeing the star-swallowing ice python, she directly rushed over to attack. Don't look at her human form as a little girl carved from jade. She often played with Mo and the other cute little girls. When she became ruthless, she became an extremely ferocious vermilion bird. Your Excellency Divine King is truly wealthy. Human Snake Patriarch is currently trembling. He is most afraid of this kind of powerful bird-type divine beast. To him, it is a nightmare. It's actually the ninth heaven vermilion bird. Luo Shu looked at the great battle in the distance in shock. The little black donkey is in the divine inscription mountain. He doesn't dare to come out right now. As a black tortoise, he is far from being as good as the vermilion bird Yang Yang. He is afraid that Yang Yang will laugh at him. Chapter 32:13. Qin Yun originally planned to temporarily retreat because the star-swallowing ice python is indeed too powerful. If not for Yang Yang, he would have to use all his strength to suppress it. At that time, many of his secrets would definitely be exposed. Originally, he didn't know that Yang Yang could resist the star-swallowing ice python, but Yang Yang inside the Nine Sun Divine Spirit could actually sense the aura of the star-swallowing ice python outside. Qin Yun was very worried at first, but Yang Yang said that she is not afraid at all and can easily deal with the snake. Therefore, Qin Yun immediately set up the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin formation to protect everyone and then let Yang Yang out. At this moment, he is standing on top of the Divine Rune Mountain with a solemn expression. He is activating the Divine King Heavenly Seal and at the same time operating the power of several Divine Suns inside the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. If Yang Yang is not a match for the star-swallowing ice python, he will need to use even stronger power to help Yang Yang. The ninth heaven Xian Sparrow's flame is very terrifying. The entire plaza was originally covered in thick ice, but now it has melted into mist. The ice of the primal beginning ancient city also began to melt. Now, Qin Yun is no longer controlling the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin formation to resist the star-swallowing ice python's cold energy, but the heat wave erupting from Yang Yang's body. Qin Yun didn't expect that Yang Yang would be this powerful. After Yang Yang evolved into the ninth heaven Xian Sparrow, she didn't fight much. Qin Yun was also reluctant to let her go out to fight. And inside the Nine Sun Divine Spirit, she often entered the Divine Sun to sleep and cultivate. Moreover, there are many delicious things like dragon peaches and so on. It can be said that her growth is very fast. Ling Yuner Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi are often together with Yang Yang inside the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. Even they don't know how powerful Yang Yang is. That little girl Yang Yang has begun to cultivate the Divine Sun cultivation technique. The Divine Sun cultivation technique was recorded by Mo. Yang Yang is often together with Mo, so she must have comprehended something from it. In other words, Yang Yang's body cultivates Divine Sun? Qin Yun is astonished. It should be. Old brother Taisher is now even more certain. Could it be that cultivating the Divine Sun cultivation technique can allow one to break through the limit of the 9th level Divine Universe realm? Qin Yun secretly pondered. He also doesn't know what Yang Yang's current cultivation is. Yang Yang's Divine Space Force was at most 1.5 million, while the star-swallowing Ice Python's Divine Space Force was at most 2 million. However, the star-swallowing Ice Python was countered by Yang Yang, so the higher Divine Space Force did not have much of an effect on it. She should still be at the 9th level of the Divine Space Realm. You have to know that she is a divine beast. With such a huge body, she can withstand even higher divine cosmos power. Old brother Taisher said, the stronger the body, the higher the upper limit of the divine cosmos power in the divine cosmos. If I cultivate all of the divine universe heavenly bones and strengthen my body, will I reach the limit? At that time, how do I break through the upper limit of the divine cosmos power? The divine cosmos in Qin Yun's body was formed from an energy body. If his body wasn't strong enough, then the upper limit of his divine cosmos force would be limited. When one's cultivation was restricted, it was mainly due to the suppression of the divine universe within their bodies. If they were unable to cultivate the divine universe within their bodies, then they could only cultivate their fleshly bodies. Cultivating the fleshly body was very slow and painful. Moreover, one had to pay a great price. Many people could only make do with their fleshly body, and mainly relied on the divine universe within their body. The battle in the sky was very intense. The people on the ground were trembling in fear. Because with individual strength, they couldn't even withstand a single blow from such powerful beasts. In the heavens divine desolate, how many such powerful beasts were there? Once they encountered them, wouldn't they be finished? Everyone began to think about how they could obtain even more formidable power when their cultivation was restricted to the 9th level of the divine cosmos realm. And the beasts could become extremely huge, which meant that the upper limit of the divine cosmos power could be even higher. At the same cultivation level, powerful beasts were basically stronger than humans. Although the 9 dragons' kingdom and the others were humans, their bloodline could allow them to transform into dragons. Therefore, as long as they worked hard and continued to explore, the upper limit of the divine cosmos power would definitely be higher. There was no need to talk about the dragon-turtle race. Everyone carefully thought about it and discovered that most of the stronger races were related to beasts. If the heavens dragon race rose in power in the future, wouldn't they become the strongest race in the heavens divine desolate? It was no wonder that the great Luo Empire ruthlessly suppressed the heavens dragon race and wanted to break them up. In addition, if they could control powerful beasts, wouldn't they also control a powerful deterrent force? The little black donkey heard everyone's discussion inside the divine rune mountain and became slightly excited. We beasts are going to rise, the heavens divine desolate belongs to us. The mountain god ruthlessly patted his head and said with smile, "Fat donkey, you idle fish only know how to eat all day, you won't be able to turn over." The azure dragon said with smile, "Little black, look at that vermilion bird, she is also a big foodie. She is so strong after transforming, what about you?" The little black donkey is very unhappy. Big sister vermilion bird follows the sect master, all the things she eats are of the highest quality. Why don't you look at what I eat? I eat trash all day, how can it compare to the delicacies she eats? That Baizé is also a divine beast, look at how good his body is, unlike you, you are as fat as a ball. Heishu said. The little black donkey didn't say anything, he just silently ate his divine fruit. There are many powerful beasts inside the divine rune mountain and the divine rune palace. Moreover, they can obtain the best bloodline heavenly rune inheritance. Not long after, they will be able to display very formidable power. This spacious underground area no longer has a bit of cold air, instead it has turned into a hot furnace, flames soared to the sky everywhere. The star-swallowing ice python was originally a very long and very large ice snake. Its body was covered with very beautiful ice crystal scales. Now it has been beaten black and swarthy, the ice crystal scales on its surface have all melted. The snake's skin is white and has already been burnt black, the fragrance of meat wafted everywhere. The star-swallowing ice python that came out in an awe-inspiring and domineering manner was very quickly beaten up like a pitiful worm. It can be said that it is being hung up and beaten by Yang Yang. Big brother, seal it. Yang Yang secretly transmitted her voice to Qin Yun. You don't want to eat this guy? It is roasted very fragrant. Qin Yun is very surprised that this little foodie is not eating the star-swallowing ice python. I don't eat meat for a long time, I found even more delicious food. Yang Yang giggled and said. Qin Yun took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal and pressed it on the star-swallowing ice python's body, leaving behind a very complicated rune. Yang Yang flew back and forth in the underground area. She took back all the flames she released and then returned to the Nine-Sun Divine Soul. Just like this, the ancient primordial beast star-swallowing ice python was suppressed and sealed. It even turned into an old man. The star-swallowing ice python in human form knelt down and begged Qin Yun for mercy. This little snake knows his wrongs, please spare my life, sir. Did you want to freeze us to death just now? Qin Yun looked at the white-clothed old man. He is the incarnation of the star-swallowing ice python. After being seriously injured by Yang Yang, he became very weak. This little snake is the guardian beast of this city. I have been waiting for the city master to return. Someone is attacking the city. This little snake naturally has to defend. The star-swallowing ice python said bitterly. Chapter 32:14. When the star-devouring ice python flew out, it was extremely arrogant, intimidating everyone present. That kind of domineering and dazzling appearance could be said to be extremely eye-catching. However, it didn't take long for the star-swallowing ice python to be beaten like a dog and be sealed. Everyone felt relieved when they saw the star-swallowing ice python's aura disappear. The 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation didn't disperse. Everyone stayed inside. Qin Yun also told them not to come out to prevent the star-swallowing ice python from going crazy. City Lord? This city should be very ancient, right? Qin Yun asked. That City Lord, will he really come back? When asked about this, the star-swallowing ice python immediately burst into tears. It choked up so much that it couldn't speak. In the end, it burst into tears. No one expected that the domineering primordial ancient beast would cry like a child. Qin Yun coughed and said, I didn't say I would kill you. Is there a need for this? The star-swallowing ice python lost his temper. After all, he was completely suppressed by Yang Yang. As long as Yang Yang was here, he wouldn't be able to turn the situation around. Sir, I have been sleeping in the city for a long time. The city lord once told me that he might never come back. He told me to wait here and guard the city. The star-swallowing ice python said. Then did he say what he wanted you to wait for? Qin Yun asked. The star-swallowing ice python shook his head and asked, What time is it now? Qin Yun didn't know how much time had passed since the primordial ancient civilization. He looked at the Supreme Palace people. An old man from Supreme Palace shouted, It's the 999th universe epoch's end. The star-swallowing ice python screamed in shock. 999th universe era's end? This was the first time Qin Yun learned that they were in the 99th universe era's end. Nine Dragons King, what does this mean? Qin Yun asked Nine Dragons King. A universe era is 100 million years. This means that your universe is 99 billion years old and will soon reach 100 billion years. Nine Dragons King said doubtfully. Strange, our Great Flood universe is only 500 plus universe eras. Ba Tain said. Blue universe is 600 plus universe eras. Does that mean our universe is the oldest? Qin Yun asked. 999 universe epochs? Are you sure? The star-devouring ice python found it hard to believe that this was real. The old man from Supreme Palace, who was within the Nine Dragons' Heaven Origin formation, asked, Which universe epoch were you in back then? This star-devouring ice python was probably the first Grand Era ancient beast the Grand Prime faction had encountered, and it had been beaten into submission, which was why they had the opportunity to interact with it. Back then, we were at the 100th Cosmos epoch, and it just so happened to be the 100th Cosmos epoch. That morning, we had just celebrated the completion of the 100th Cosmos epoch, and in the afternoon, the City Lord sent me to sleep. The star-devouring ice python said. In other words, the astral-swallowing ice python did not know what had happened. I don't know how long I slept. When I woke up, the entire city was empty. I slept and woke up again until you broke through the city's defenses. The star-swallowing ice python was at a loss. It still couldn't accept that so much time had passed. Nine Dragons King exclaimed in surprise. Almost 80 billion years have passed, but this city isn't damaged at all. How come your lifespan is so long? The star-devouring ice python shook his head repeatedly. He was completely dumbfounded. This point was also hard for everyone to understand. Not to mention tens of billions of years, even a few 100 million years wouldn't be enough. And according to Luo Shu, the Great Luo Empire and the other empires had only ruled the cosmos for a few 100 million years. The various empires' celestial emperors had already changed over 100 times. According to the various empires and Grand Era factions' guesses, the appearance of living beings should have only been a matter of 1 billion years. But now, the star-swallowing ice python in this ancient city said that they had existed since the 100th Cosmos epoch. It had been almost 90 billion years since then. Then what had happened in the cosmos in the past 90 billion years? Were there no other living beings? Or could it be that after the destruction of the Grand Era civilization, all the living beings in the cosmos were destroyed, and life only began to appear in the past few 100 million years? What puzzled Qin Yun the most was that the cosmos was clearly so ancient, so how could the Great Luo Empire and the 3 Grand Era factions rule it for so long? Even a large number of divine sons were destroyed. In the end, it was the 9 Yang Dharma spirits that broke the deadlock and saved the various great cosmos Dharma spirit. Then after the Dharma spirits of the various cosmos were unsealed, they should have been able to use the cosmos power to instantly destroy the empires and Grand Era factions, but they did not do so. The Dharma spirits of the cosmos were sealed by the empires and Grand Era factions, but this was something that happened many years ago, and was recorded in ancient books. As for whether it was true or not, it was hard to say. After the Dharma spirits of the cosmos were unsealed, they easily retrieved the power of all living beings and restricted them to the 9th layer of the divine space realm. They even gathered these divine space realm living beings in the divine wilderness of the heavens. It could be said that their power was boundless. Star-swallowing ice python, is the city lord of this city still alive? Qin Yun asked. I don't know. The star-swallowing ice python shook his head and said, What happened? What happened? And Wukong looked at the ancient city and said, This city might have the power of time, causing the flow of time inside the city to be different from outside. This reminded everyone that it was completely possible. If that's the case, then what important thing must have been preserved until now? Luo Shu said. At that time, I heard that our grand era would experience a nirvana every 100 cosmos epoch. In other words, 100 cosmos epochs is the destruction period, and 200 cosmos epochs is the reappearance period. If that's the case, 1000 cosmos epochs is the reappearance period of the grand era. The star-swallowing ice python suddenly said. The old man from the Supreme Palace exclaimed, "Could it be that this ancient city is the earliest ancient city of the Grand Era? It's the ancient ruins of the Grand Era. Most of the ruins you found before were ancient ruins of the other cosmos epochs?" Qin Yun said. "If that's the case, then it makes sense. Our great flood cosmos is very young, but there were still ancient civilizations that appeared before. They should have come from your cosmos to our side." Nine Dragon King said. The star-swallowing ice python said, "Sir, since you could break the ancient city's barrier and subdue me, then this city should belong to you." Although the ancient city's barrier was broken, there was still a powerful and mysterious power shrouding it. Qin Yun tightly grasped the Divine King Heavenly Seal. Inside the Heavenly Seal is a Grand Prime. Although he made a copy of it, it has a deep relationship with the Primordial Grand Prime. The Primordial Grand Prime is in the hands of the Nine Sun Law Spirit. Who knows what kind of existence the Primordial Grand Prime is? Let's go in and take a look," Qin Yun said. Su Xiaoba and Monkey King are walking at the front, but when they entered the city, they were sent flying by a very powerful power. The city gate is already open, there is no barrier, but they still can't enter. "Master, maybe only you and this ice snake can enter," Su Xiaoba said. Chapter 32:15. Previously, it was agreed that Luo Shu, the Nine Dragon Kingdom, the Phoenix Kingdom, as well as the Dragon Turtle race and the Human Snake race could all enter. But now, only Qin Yun can enter. This made him feel somewhat awkward. "Your Excellency, please go in. If there's anything you can share, just share it with us. If you can't, I won't say anything," Luo Shu said. This was because it was all thanks to Qin Yun's efforts that they were able to come here. They were just there to be bystanders. The Nine Dragon King, Chu Limin, the Serpent Tribe's patriarch, and one of the Dragon Turtle Tribe's elders also had no objections. "Ice Python, let's go in. Show me around," Qin Yun said. Although the star-swallowing Ice Python was seriously injured, it was only unable to continue fighting. Walking was not a problem. Qin Yun is not afraid of the star-swallowing Ice Python at all. Yang Yang is still full of energy. With her here, the star-swallowing Ice Python would not dare to attack Qin Yun. Moreover, he also knows that Qin Yun is very powerful. He is the leader of this group of people and also some God King. "Yes, Sir Divine King." The star-swallowing Ice Python stood up and bowed as he followed behind Qin Yun. Qin Yun and the star-swallowing Ice Python walked towards the gate of the primordial ancient city. After entering the city gate, Qin Yun very easily crossed it. But the star-swallowing Ice Python was sent flying by a formidable power. After being sent flying, the star-swallowing Ice Python landed on its butt on the ground. It was dumbfounded and started to doubt its life. He couldn't get in. He just flew out of there not long ago. Why couldn't he go back in now? Could it be that because they lost, they couldn't protect this ancient city, so they were disqualified? The star-swallowing Ice Python began to cry again. He couldn't accept this reality. Qin Yun originally wanted to bring the star-swallowing Ice Python along to familiarize him with the primordial ancient city, but now it seems that he can only go in by himself. Of course, it should be possible to put people into storage treasures and bring them in. However, after entering and releasing them, they might be attacked or even killed by the ancient city. Therefore, Qin Yun did not dare to take the risk. When Nine Dragons King and the others saw that star-swallowing ice python couldn't enter, they were even more surprised. Why could only Qin Yun enter? They are naturally not afraid of the star-swallowing ice python because it has already been sealed by Qin Yun. When Qin Yun entered the ancient city, the city gates suddenly closed. Everyone surrounded the star-swallowing ice python and asked all sorts of questions related to the primordial civilization. The star-swallowing ice python came from the primordial civilization, so everyone was curious about it. After Qin Yun entered the ancient city of primordial beginning, he took out the divine mirror of primordial beginning and illuminated the surroundings. He wanted Brother Taisher to take a look at the ancient city. The buildings in the city were all shining with golden light. They looked like they were built with golden crystals. The whole place was empty. There was nothing there. "Let's go to the center of the city first," old Brother Taisher said. After Qin Yun entered the city gate, there was a road that led straight to the center of the city. He flew close to the ground and soon arrived at the city center. There were no buildings in the center of the city. Instead, there was a very spacious square with a giant golden monument erected in the middle. The top of the monument was also empty and nothing could be seen. "I wonder if the flow of time inside is different from outside," Qin Yun said. He is somewhat worried that not long after he entered, many years have passed outside. There's not much of a change. After we broke through the enchantment of this city, the time formations stop. Old Brother Taisher said, "Use the Divine King Heaven Seal to touch that giant monument." The monument was 100 meters tall. Qin Yun floated in the middle and gently touched it with his hand. There was no other reaction. Then, he used the divine mirror of primordial beginning to probe. After confirming that there were no other problems, he dared to use the Godly King Heaven Seal to touch it. The Godly Monarch Heaven Seal contained the Grand Prime Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box. Although it was a replica, it still had a large portion of the original Grand Prime's abilities. After the Godly King Heavenly Seal touched the stone tablet, the entire stone tablet began to tremble violently. Then, heavenly runes began to appear on every brick of the square that was thousands of meters wide. It was as if a large formation had suddenly been activated. All the buildings in the city were emitting powerful energy. A golden mist spewed out from every corner of the city. It surged towards the square in the middle of the city and entered the stone monument before entering the Godly Monarch Heaven Seal from the stone monument. At this moment, Qin Yun is holding the Godly Monarch Heaven Seal tightly. He can feel energy frantically pouring into the Godly Monarch Heaven Seal. He now understands that this primordial beginning ancient city is actually made of energy crystals. Those buildings are sparkling crystals and energy is hidden within them. From the energy that erupted at this moment, this energy is very special. It can last for eternity, so the entire city has not decayed even after tens of billions of years. "Old Brother Taisher, how are you?" Qin Yun hurriedly asked. "A large amount of memories are being transmitted in. This is the inheritance of the primordial civilization." Old Brother Taisher seems somewhat excited. "What's the main point?" Qin Yun is also very excited. A brand new beginning. It's a long story. In short, it can make you stronger and allow you to transcend the 9th level of the divine space realm. It's also a new reincarnation, the reincarnation of the heaven and earth universe. Old Brother Taisher seems to be excited to the point that he is in a mess. Qin Yun can feel Old Brother Taisher's excitement. He also wants to quickly know what kind of inheritance Old Brother Taisher has obtained. The people outside the city saw the miraculous scene inside the city and are extremely curious. They all hurriedly ask the star-swallowing ice python. The star-swallowing ice python does not know what is happening. He is more curious than anyone because even he can't enter the city, but Qin Yun can. "Why? At this moment, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch arrived. He came down through the entrance because the Nine Dragon King had already contacted him through the spatial sound transmission array and told him the situation below. He was told to come down after dealing with the people above. After the Dragon Turtle Patriarch came down, he hurriedly said, "The situation above is not good. The Crown Prince of Great Luo and the two super-strong armies of the primordial powers have already arrived outside the human snake treasure land. The All-Heavens Dragon race has already entered the human snake treasure land, but with their strength, they are still not enough to fight against the Crown Prince of Great Luo. The Phoenix Queen originally had a very strong force. If the Phoenix Kingdom's army and the Vermilion Bird race's army came, with the All-Heavens Dragon race and Qin Yun's cooperation, it would not be a problem to force back the Crown Prince of Great Luo. We can only wait for the Divine King to come out. They haven't launched their attack yet, right?" Luo Shu asked. "Not yet. They gave us 3 days to let the human snake race open the barrier within 3 days and let them in to annihilate the All-Heavens Dragon race," the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. A few of the human snake race's elders also came down. They hurriedly went to see their patriarch. "These bastards are going too far. The human snake treasure land was bestowed to us by the 9 Yang Dharma spirit. What right do they have to threaten us like this?" The human snake patriarch is very angry, but there is nothing he can do. In the Divine Desolate, if not for the alliance of many powerful races, there is no way to fight against the armies of the primordial powers and empires. Chapter 32:16. The Crown Prince of Daluo, who was outside, already knew that something had happened to the underground primordial ancient city. However, he did not know the exact situation. Among the thousands of Supreme Palace people, there were quite a few clones that had fallen. There must have been a few big shots who had arranged for their clones to enter, so that they could know what was happening underground at any time. Outside the human snake treasured land, are there more people from the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo or the Hall of Paragon? Asked Luo Shu. Supreme Palace has sent 3 super warships. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "It's the super warship that attacked the Golden Claw treasure land on the Taishan planet." An elder from the Hall of Supremes suddenly said, "Where are the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo? How many of them are here?" The Crown Prince of Origin Luo has 200,000 soldiers. They look like well-equipped soldiers of the Empire, not his own, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. This is probably an army approved by the Celestial Emperor of Origin Luo. Luo Shu said, "If 200,000 Imperial soldiers came, then it means that even the Celestial Emperor of the Luo attaches great importance to this ancient city. Super beginning ancient city must have sent out a very strong signal and been caught by them. That's why they joined hands and mobilized as much power as possible in a short period of time to attack the human snake precious land." The old man from Supreme Palace said, "If it was before, the people from the Supreme Palace might have been happy. After all, the Supreme Palace and the Daluo Empire would definitely be able to take down the human snake treasure ground. But after they discovered that Qin Yun has the 9 Heavens Vermilion Bird and also subdued the star-swallowing Ice Python, they realized that Qin Yun's current power is very formidable. Even if Supreme Palace and Great Luo Empire were to take over the human snake treasured land, they would have to pay a huge price. Furthermore, now that Qin Yun has entered the ancient primal beginning ancient city, if he were to obtain some other powerful items, the Great Luo Empire and Supreme Palace might suffer greatly. The people from the Supreme Palace actually hoped that the Great Luo Empire and the Supreme Palace would not attack the human snake treasure ground. They were worried that such a fierce attack would anger Qin Yun and cause him to kill all of them. When that happened, they would lose their lives. If there was anyone here who was most afraid of the Supreme Palace and the Empire's attack, it would be the Supreme Palace's captives. Friends, why don't you let 1 or 2 of us out to explain the situation? An old man from the Supreme Palace said, "If we were to fight, it would not be good for either side." This super-beginning ancient city has already been obtained by Lord Divine King, so even if they were to attack, it would be meaningless. If we were to go out and explain the situation, we would be able to avoid the conflict from escalating, which would be beneficial to everyone. Since Qin Yun is not here, this matter will be discussed by 9 Dragon Kings, Dragon Turtle Patriarch, Human Snake Patriarch, Luo Shu and Chu Limin. If they were to fight, it would definitely be a lose-lose situation. The old man from Supreme Palace said again. They had thousands of captives, and they were still very important to Supreme Palace, so they believed that Supreme Palace was willing to retreat. After discussing with everyone for a while, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "All right, I'll let the 2 of you go out and talk to them." Then, they found 2 younger-looking men from the crowd and sent them out to spread the word. The 2 youths were Supreme Palace's wise men, and they were quickly sent out of the Human Serpent Treasure Land. 2 hours later, they did not return. The patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan descended from the sky with a grave expression on his face. "How is it?" the old man with the highest position in Supreme Palace hastily asked. Supreme Palace's side said that they want us to let you go first, otherwise they will attack the Human Serpent Treasure Land within a limited time. They also said that they have absolute confidence in rescuing you. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "What should we do?" The old man from Supreme Palace said anxiously. "They think that we won't be able to resist for long. As long as we break the barrier of the Human Serpent Treasure Land, they will win more than half." The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said with sneer, "Even without His Excellency Divine King's power, if we join hands, they won't be able to take us down. There are still 3 days. Let's discuss tactics. We will not consider His Excellency Divine King's power for now." 9 Dragon Kings said, "The Divine Inscription Mountain is still here. Most of the people they brought are inside the Divine Inscription Mountain, and there is still the All Heavens Dragon Race army above. Long Shu has already been invited down. Long Qiaofeng and Long Tianji are above. Long Yuqing is guarding a treasure land of the All Heavens Dragon Race. Qin Yun is in the middle of the primal beginning ancient city. Through the Divine King Heavenly Seal, he extracted the primal beginning civilization from the huge stone tablet. Old Brother Taisher, you should know a lot about the primal beginning civilization, right? Is it good news or bad news?" Qin Yun asked. Old Brother Taisher became silent for a while and said, "There are good and bad news. In short, the primal beginning civilization is about to be reborn. Moreover, the rebirth speed will be very fast. The 9 Sun Law Spirits will do their best to help the primal beginning civilization rebirth." Qin Yun is very shocked hearing this. Isn't the 9 Sun Law Spirits standing on the side of the Universe Law Spirits? Isn't the primal beginning civilization in conflict with the Universe Law Spirits? Why does the 9 Sun Law Spirits want to help the primal beginning civilization grow? The primal beginning civilization is destroyed once every 100 cosmos eras. Do you know who destroyed it? Old Brother Taisher asked. The Universe Law Spirits? Qin Yun said with frown. Yes and no. The Universe Law Spirits are just pushing the boat to destroy the primal beginning civilization in passing. The main reason is because of the barbarian life forms. Qin Yun is shocked. Are barbarian life forms that powerful? Barbarian life forms. Qin Yun can't help but think of the 9 Sun Holy Land's dragon race. They have already introduced the blood of barbarian life forms to make themselves stronger. This is what the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. The Universe Law Spirits are just law spirit. To them, if one kind of life form in the cosmos is too strong, they will create another kind of life form to suppress it. If they can't suppress it, they will seal the power of the strongest life form. Old Brother Taisher said. Don't tell me that the life forms in the cosmos are restricted to the 9th level of the divine space realm so that they can be easily killed by the barbarian life forms? Qin Yun said in shock. Yes. But the 9 Sun Law spirits don't want Divine Desolate to become a graveyard. So they want to compete with the Universe Law Spirit. Divine Desolate was created by the 9 Sun Law Spirit. They believe that the life forms in Divine Desolate will be restricted by order. Old Brother Teicher said, "The primal beginning civilization exterminates the barbarian life forms, the barbarian life forms exterminates the primal beginning civilization. This kind of thing keeps repeating. After the barbarian life forms become stronger, the primal beginning civilization will be suppressed. If the primal beginning civilization is too strong, the barbarian life forms will suppress it. This kind of thing keeps repeating in many cosmos. But now, some of the universe law spirits don't want to continue repeating this kind of thing. So they want to try to combine the primal beginning civilization and the barbarian life forms to form a third kind of life form. They want the 3 different kinds of life forms to fight each other. This is very dangerous because the ones who will suffer in the end will be the life forms in Divine Desolate." Old Brother Teicher said, "To those universe law spirits, this might be a game or an experiment." Qin Yun suddenly thought of the ancient Desolate. The 9 Sun Law spirits said that the ancient Desolate was some kind of experiment. Could it be related to this? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.